Yeah. You guys got the black one. I went white because I knew Oculus Quest 2 was going to be white. Oh, yeah. It's all right.
Hello, guys and girls, and welcome to episode 162 of the F.Reality Podcast. Get your slippers on, get your hot water bottle out, and get cozy as we discuss this week's top VR news. We're going to be talking about how Oculus shipped out their early Quest 2 dev kits. We give you our thoughts on people getting locked out of their headsets when creating new Facebook accounts. We have some sad news about Lone Echo 2. We'll be discussing the future of VR esports with our special guest Alex from the VR Master League. And to round up the show, Zim's got some new releases for you to look forward to next week. But for now, let me introduce you to the team and find out what's been their highlight of the week this week. And also let us know what you played in the chat so we can read out some of your highlights too. First up to the plate, when this guy is not in VR, he likes to spend his evenings polishing his ProTube. Everyone, say howdy to Rowdy. How you doing, dude?
I'm doing great actually, and I'm happy you brought that up because indeed I managed to play around a little bit with my ProTube again on my PC VR headset, the Quest 2, since I've been experimenting this week a little bit with trying virtual desktop on my my quite powerful laptop. I mean, my laptop is has an i7 in there and also has a 2060, so it should be able to run virtual reality. But I don't know if you guys remember, but back a few months ago when Half-Life Alex got released and I was fully planning on playing this on my laptop, I realized that since it has a dual graphics card, Oculus doesn't really play that well together with that. I've been also contacting the manufacturer of the laptop to see if I could maybe turn off the internal graphics card, but for some reason in the BIOS that was not allowed, since it's like a custom laptop and it's not really a popular BIOS system, I guess. So that wasn't a great success because Oculus, for some reason, kept on using the integrated graphics card instead of the 2060 that was in there. So I've been playing around this week with trying to get it to work on Virtual Desktop, because Virtual Desktop very nicely says in the bottom corner which graphic card is being used, and it works actually really well. So I've been playing onward with that, and I've had absolutely no problems with getting into the game. Well, I mean, with playing the game, the only problem I had was getting into it sometimes because, again, for some weird reason with this laptop, when I booted up the game, sometimes it would just crash the entire laptop. I haven't really figured out yet why that is, but I'm thinking that it might just be too many peripherals that are attached to the laptop. So I've been like trying like all different kind of things and seeing, what is causing it for me to just that the entire laptop crashes. But I have to say that I was very impressed with just the performance of a virtual desktop on the Quest 2. The resolution as well. It's mind-boggling to have that kind of resolution wireless in a game like Onward. I'm still figuring out what are like the best kind of like bit rates that I should set for the stream, because I'm on a 5G wireless connection, so I don't have it. I mean, my laptop is wireless as well, so I don't have it plugged in. So I need to play around with that a little bit in order not to get too much latency. But all in all, it's been a great experience, and it's been nice to like, I mean, I enjoy the Quest 2 and I like all the games that are on there, but it's been nice to like get back into the PC VR market as well. So I'm looking forward to trying more of that.
Nice. And you're right, in terms of like, bit rate on virtual desktop, the higher bit rate you put, and I think the maximum with using Quest 2 is 150 megabits per second. The higher you increase that, the more latency you're likely to encounter. So, personally, I found a nice middle ground was about 80 megabits per second. That was kind of a nice little.
But your PC is wired, of course. So I'm still below that. I'm now roughly at 50, but I'm also testing whether that causes my my laptop to crash, if that has something to do with it as well. Yeah. Because it is it's a 2060 card that is in there, but of course it's a laptop 2060 card. It's not like a PC one. So the things are a little bit different for me to be able to use that.
Yeah, but like playing wirelessly, like playing PC VR wirelessly, there is definitely some magic about that. When you experience it for the first time, there's just something so nice about not being tethered to a PC.
I like that. I like that.
And I see people in the chat telling me as well that I can use the NVIDIA control panel in order to force Oculus. That is true, but for some reason that doesn't always work on my laptop. I mean, it doesn't work on my laptop at all. It still uses the integrated graphics. I mean, it uses the GPU when I go into the Oculus environment, but when I go into the game, even though all the games are also set into the NVIDIA card, it automatically switches back to the Intel graphics card, which is annoying.
Well, hopefully you get your desktop PC up and running soon enough.
Indeed, I'm hoping for Black Friday. Like I'm hoping some special deals there. It's coming next month, so.
The best time to buy PC hardware.
Cyber Monday, even better.
Ooh, Cyber Monday.
But good to see that you're keeping well, jumping into some PC VR with Onward and your ProTube. Sure. Very nice indeed. Next up, this guy is getting so good at flying around on a broomstick that he's going to be soon starting his own Quidditch team. He's a VR wizard, of course. It's Nathy. How you doing?
Hey, thanks, Mike. This is a beautiful and magical intro. I love it. Totally fits my week, actually.
It does.
Yeah, so I have some explanation to do, I guess. I played Little Witch Academia on the Quest 2. Of all the games you can play, I played that one. The developers, Universe, they reached out and they wanted to sponsor my video. And funny enough, I wanted to play this game anyways. When I saw the Quest 2 first pop up, and the games that were going to come to it, this was one of the titles that was most interesting to me. I was like, this is kind of funny. That I was a big fan of Space Channel 5. I was like, yeah, I'm down for this one. To just fly on a broomstick and have this kind of like story to it, because this game that I'm talking about is based on the anime series. You can watch it on Netflix. There has also been a movie, apparently. I actually had to do research. I had to watch the show on Netflix, but that made the game more fun because I understood better what it was all about. Because Little Witch Academia is one of those games that if you are not into anime or you never watched the show, you have no freaking idea what's going on at all. Makes it also funny, but it's better to just kind of know the background and then be like, hey. But basically what this game is, it's like Harry Potter meets Mario Kart meets Superman 64 That's kind of what it is. But for the video, I wasn't allowed to say that because usually, developers don't like it when you compare it to other games. But I was so tempted to be like, hey guys, I'm Harry Potter. I'm going to Hogwarts. Let's go. And this game is like Mario Kart, because what you have to do in this title, you have to race against other students because you join this academy as a new student, and you have to prove yourself. And you have to do that by racing other students. You have to do that by impressing them with the fastest times, but also by catching ghosts, because there are different missions. And you need to have a lot of conversations. Like, this game is mainly about having conversations. So the better choices you make in the conversations, the more friends you make. And then with that, you get more cash, because your students are like, hey, here's some cash. Then you can buy new brooms, and you can upgrade them too and make them faster and stuff. So there is a lot to it. Yeah, if you play this game from, let's say, the US or from Europe, then it's like a cultural thing as well. It's very Japanese. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm sure in Japan, people are like, this game, man, this is like lit AF.
So when you earn cash, can you eventually unlock, like, is it the Nimbus 5000? Is that what it is?
Oh, the Nimbus 5000. I don't know. I haven't played that much yet to figure that out. But who knows? Who knows? But yeah, it's definitely like, we're so much about Harry Potter that yeah, this is Harry Potter. But technically, you could tape that's what I wanted to do. Tape my controllers to a broom, like one of those ones that you use in the garden, those ugly ones. Not like one that actually looks like, a broom that a witch would use, but something that is more house and kitchen style. I wanted to tape it on there and then play it. But like the position of where your broom is not like under your, because then you have to constantly hold your controls like that. And it's
under your
nice.
what?
Well, under your, but yeah, it's a fun game. Can totally recommend. Not because I got paid. It's a legit fun game, but you need to like anime, otherwise it's not gonna work. So yeah.
Fair enough. People in the chat were saying Nathy Malfoy.
Yeah, I love that.
I
love
forgot about
name.
that. I forgot about
yeah,
that.
you used to say that.
I did. But yeah, nice little recommendation there. So Little Witch Academia.
Academia, exactly.
Little bitch Academia.
Well, I didn't say that. But one more highlight that I have is that I popped up in the Joe Rogan podcast.
I saw this. Yeah, nice.
My video about the Catwalk C. And they were like, whoa, dude, look at this. This is so cool. It's funny that every time people watch that video, they're like, oh, this is amazing. Well, I said in the video that treadmills aren't that great. But it's like they still enjoy the video. But it's great to see myself popping up and them enjoying the content. Be like, whoa, this is the future, man. Whoa. So yeah, there you go.
That's awesome. Being a little clip on the Joe Rogan podcast, like one of the most popular podcasts in the world. That's incredible. So nice work for that, dude.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Not the most fun podcast, though.
Ooh, well, there's a VR one I heard that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Right, next up, this guy is making double denim fashionable again, although only for your VR headsets. It's, of course, VR streamer Top 5. How you doing, dude? You all right?
Yeah, good. So I'm glad you guys were able to hold down the podcast while I was away last week. So good to be back.
Managed.
It's always weird. It feels like it's half a month basically, right? Because it's 2 weeks break between. So feels like a long time. It's been good. It's been a crazy 2 weeks of Quest 2. Just absolutely packing it with that, enjoying it, just doing a bunch of crazy things with it. I just have had so much fun. On to my second one now, and kind of retired the first Quest 2 just because I've handed it down now to other members of the family. Not that I've broken it, thankfully. But I think one thing I was going to say, just as my main highlight, is really just that because I'm a man of my word, I did actually try out this indie game on SideQuest called Custom House Mapper, which we covered 2 weeks ago on the podcast, which is interesting because like T for God, it's one of those apps that has a corner that you can see expanding and like it's going to go somewhere. Like this idea is going to go somewhere. So let's explain it. So Custom House Mapper, you start off by disabling your Guardian system, and then you use the replacement Guardian system in this app. It's on itch for $7 or about £5. So you sideload this app, and then you basically, like an architect, map out your entire house, but you have to start from a point of reference. So you start from a corner in part of your house, and then you start just tracing the walls and the doors and everything else. And that gives you the kind of map of your house. And then that's it. It's locked in place. And you spawn like it looks like an old Nintendo system, like a console. And you can plug a couple of games into that. One of the games, or the game cartridges, it allows you to texture, map, place objects in your house. So there's couches, there's tables, there's all kinds of things. It's about 200 objects. And then a bunch of different textures. And you can even pop windows in places that they don't exist. And it will light the room or not light the room if you don't put a window in. So that's all fine as it is. But like some of the mini games that they have, probably the least interesting of the lot is three-dimensional Snake. If anyone had like an old Nokia phone, you'll remember, the Snake app, and you can play that in your house, and your snake is like trying to go through three-dimensional space. It's a bit weird. But a really interesting one, and I can't remember the name of it now, is basically all the walls of your house like are openable sides to a starship. And there's an external spacecraft that's firing onto your house. And you have to run from like porthole to porthole in your house, opening the windows and firing back. And like that it just clicked a little bell in my head. And I was like, this is something. I mean, it's a very rough app, all said. And when you replace the Guardian, you immediately realize the magic that Guardian does for staying in place. Because this does have some drift. It wasn't terrible. And every time you start the app again, thankfully you don't have to remap your house. But there are some limitations. So as I said, sometimes it gets a little imperfect, which can get a little dangerous because, there's supposed to be a wall there, but there isn't. It's somewhere else, and you are walking along or whatever. And then the other thing is, like, again, once you map your space out, one of the limitations that I found was I wasn't able to go downstairs, right? So I think this would work best if you've got what in Europe you'd call like a bungalow, like a single level house, or just if you had like a studio apartment or something. But other than that, it was a pretty cool concept. So that was fun. And then aside from that, I've just been playing absolutely oodles of Solaris. Solaris is my game of the year for sure. I burned through, in one night, I played like 5.5 hours on it. And
wow.
I went through one Quest 2, went to the next Quest 2, and then I went back to the Quest 1. And I'll tell you, that experience, more than anything else, taught me how poor now Solaris looks on Quest 1 compared to Quest 2. Like, it's the biggest gap in headsets that I think I've experienced from one version of a game, port of a game, let's say, to another. And it was totally surprising to the point now where
like that with like where visuals are not necessarily the leading thing.
Yeah, I mean it's aliased. It's you've got the screen door. I mean on Quest 1 it just is not a pretty looking game. Whereas now the Solaris patch that they pushed midweek makes the Quest 2 build look like the PC game. And if you haven't tried it, it's visceral. It's amazing combat. And I met loads of great teams of people. So just a shout out to everybody who I met over the last week, because it's great when you get a team of 4 people. You just start rolling, and it's been my VR crack for this week.
I'm intrigued. Have you tried using the SideQuest 90 Hz unlock method with the update for Solaris? Is it running at 90 Hz yet?
Everyone's asking me that. I haven't yet. I haven't done that trick, but it is an interesting thing that you can unlock that mode through SideQuest. So I don't know the answer if Solaris can run at 90 yet.
Yeah, it's interesting because I haven't really done any real side-by-side comparisons yet. I haven't really played that many enhanced Quest 2 titles yet, so I'm looking forward to jumping back into Solaris and checking it out.
Like I've tried a few, but they're like, I mean, they're quite everything that's been patched for Quest 2 makes it then feel like desktop. Like that's the cool.
Wow.
That's it. Like everything from Arizona Sunshine to, I mean, you can still see the textures and stuff, but I'm talking about like the aliasing, the kind of sense of like super sampling, you
Oh, you
wouldn't
mean
think it was
it's
possible on
like
a mobile
it
headset.
plays like a PC VR headset, you mean?
Yeah. It
So,
plays. It
technically,
feels
it is
like,
a PC VR headset, but I get what you're saying.
yeah. It's amazing what they've done. I absolutely can't wait for Quest 3 now. You know, it's like
Wow.
we're at the stage now where
Well,
it's
who
like,
knows?
wow.
Next year, right? Hey, next year, who knows?
Maybe for December. Maybe they'll bring it out for
Oh,
Christmas.
December. I imagine.
So one quick question before we move on about
shit.
Solaris. Have they fixed matchmaking yet with teams?
No, the matchmaking isn't out yet. But
Okay.
Is there anything
but-
new to the game? Did they patch anything or?
There are a few patches that resolve some minor bugs and stuff. Nothing major in terms of content.
Although I have to say though, it's one of those games, of those few games where I really like the people that I usually play with. Since I'm normally not the kind of guy where I go like, oh, you know, like I don't want to be talking to people, or I don't want to be playing around with other people that I don't know. But with this game, like pretty much every lobby that I've been in, everyone's been like super nice. Like
Wow.
and
That's
I've
good.
been playing it quite a bit in the past couple of weeks. It's just every time I get matched up, there are people they're not like super competitive, but they're like fun around to play with.
Exactly.
That's
It's-
good.
So
That's
you're
good to
saying
hear.
this game is troll free so far?
There are some kids playing
I
it.
don't know, but
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the only thing. So you either get people who aren't on a mic, or you get kids. But I would say to Rowdy, it feels like that first month of Firewall when everyone wasn't amazing. Michael, no, because we hopped into it, and it was like it was a great experience from a competitive team play and social layer. That dynamic is just, as I said, it's like cocaine for me. I love
Do you
it.
hear that? Do you hear that, Mike? So you should jump in now.
Yeah, no, I am. I'm looking forward to jumping in again. I've been holding out for the matchmaking, really, before I jump back in.
Yeah.
But with the new updates, I'm probably going to check it out a bit sooner. But good recommendation there, Zim. Good to have you back on the show as well. And next, our special guest this week, caster and coordinator for the VR Master League, here to talk about the future of VR esports. It's Alex. Welcome to the show, dude.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm really happy to be on and talking about esports. It is my true passion.
Yeah, you're like killing it on the VR Master League casting, right? You're like the pro over there, right?
I've put in a substantial amount of hours into commentating. Yeah, it has surpassed my hours played in the game at this point.
Wow.
Which is up in I think over 1,200 for Onward at least.
Wow.
So. Yeah, I put my time in, I guess.
Do you have a highlight or something that you played recently in VR that you want to share with us?
Well, yeah, I mean, I love the discussion that's been going on already about the Quest 2 because I have the exact same impressions. I got my Quest 2 just a few days ago, and of course, the first thing I did is hop into Onward. That's something I know so well on PC, and I'm very shocked. It is that PC vibe, and I think it's the clarity of the lenses. That's just how clean the Quest 2 looks. That when you load in, it's like your mind's kind of tricking itself. Like, am I on PC right now? It kind of the text is about as clear as I'm used to it on PC. This looks kind of similar. Obviously, the graphics have to be adjusted accordingly, but I mean, I'll tell you, man, Quest 2 is quite a headset. It is. I've figured out. I've done some testing and. That tracking is nearly perfect. And that's something for me that I'm always looking at right away. I pull my gun up to both hands, and is there any drift? Because when you're playing competitive shooters, you can't afford drift. It's just not something that you can have when you're aiming down the sights. You need to be laser locked in. And I got two cool lights lighting my area, and I think with that, I mean the tracking is perfect. I've done some experimenting. I've talked with some folks. That have done some experimenting. Lighting seems to be a key to get very clean tracking out of these headsets. And I'm starting to theorize that if you have a top-down light, that's actually going to be your best solution to light the space. Because I've noticed when I'm aiming at lights, I get a bit of drift. And so if I can have lights at my top that are lighting the space, I think that would be perfect for tracking. And you would really get one-to-one perfect tracking on the Quest 2, which is...
And one of those things, because if we're talking about the Quest 2 as well, I know that Mike has said that a couple of times. I think one of the main attraction points for me is how quick it is to get in. You press the button on the side, it starts up so much faster. You click on Onward or whatever game you go into, and it's like, bam, you're in there. And I really like that low barrier for putting something on, and you're in the game. And I think that's really where the app and the hardware shines, you know.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
I found myself reaching for the Quest 2 instead of the Index. You know, I don't know what that was. Maybe, as you know, the new hardware obviously shining in front of my eyes, but it's so good. You know, I've been playing some Pop 1 as well on that device and during that beta, and I've done some spectate commentating of Pop 1, which has been pretty fun. You know, just kind of hopping into some games, killing my whole team, and then going into spectate and watching these players play. And then I've commentated over that, and it's kind of been the highlight of my week for sure, is Pop 1 and casting Pop 1, because I think it's got some potential.
Nice. And we're definitely going to delve deeper into Pop 1 and our thoughts of Pop 1 and your thoughts of Pop 1 as well, because I'm interested to see from like a hardcore, perspective, like what you think of it, because it is kind of aimed at the casual side, so it'll be interesting to see what you think of it later on in the show. But we're going to be diving deeper into sort of VR esports later on. But it's awesome to have you on the show, Alex, so thank you again for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So if you don't know who I am, my name is Mike from Virtual Reality Oasis, host of the show. But before I get into what I play this week, let's see what the chat have been up to, because they've always got some solid recommendations.
Yeah, so we have a couple of people who played some games this week. We have Sputnik Cobra, that's an awesome name, who played Minesweeper VR.
Minesweeper
anyone
VR.
interested in
Minesweeper
VR?
VR. What is?
How would that work?
You would have
Are you gonna sweep mines
metal
with your...
Like an actual metal detector.
Yeah, make Minesweeper flat, right? Turn Minesweeper from vertical to flat, and then give yourself a metal detecter and Minesweep.
Oh.
I love
Three
the
ideas.
Yeah, I like the
Heard it
idea.
here
I would
first.
play it.
Heard it
I'd
here
play
first.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there you go. Then we have Sleepy, who played Final Assault. We have Curious Command, who played lots of Star Wars Squadrons, and finally got around to completing Vader Immortal. So he was totally into the Star Wars
Nice.
vibes. Then we have Johnny Wells, who played Saints and Sinners on Quest 2, and Pavlov as well. Pavlov Czech.
Very
That's the
nice.
name, right? And then we have Burrito, who is looking into getting into half plus half.
Awesome. Half plus half with friends is just hilarious. Definitely check that out. It's free as well, so you've got no excuse on Quest 2. Really, really fun, and like a hidden gem, I would say, on Quest. Wouldn't you say, Nathan?
Yeah, true.
Yeah. So my highlight this week is kind of like twofold, and it was giving quests away, giving Quest 2s away, more specifically.
Playing Santa.
Yeah, it was great, actually. It was really nice. I did it on my stream. So I did a live stream with a Q&A with, just like, my audience. And they asked some questions about Quest 2. It was the day before the launch. So there was a few questions that they wanted to clear up. And then I kind of decided that I was going to do something that I've never done before. And that was invite my audience into the stream via Zoom, which, when you think about it, some streamers would be like, oh my God, this is like suicide. What are you doing? But I was like, hey, why not? If it wrecks the stream, I'll just delete the whole thing and no one will know it ever happened. So, but it actually turned out to be quite fun. We had some people join, and basically the idea was that I was going to ask them 3 questions, VR related, and if they got the 3 questions right, they got a Quest 2 sent to them. That was like no strings attached. You didn't have to be a subscriber, nothing. Just let's just hop on and have some fun. And a few people joined. Sadly, they didn't get the questions right, but we finally had a guy called Mark hop in and answered the 3 questions correctly after I'd mixed them up a little bit. So that was
Mark Zuckerberg.
It wasn't Mark Zuckerberg. No.
He already has a Quest.
If he didn't get those 3 questions right, that would be a disgrace.
Imagine.
They were quite technical, though. You were quite technical with your questions. I was.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to make sure that it went to a VR enthusiast and not someone that was just, wanted a headset to spin it on or something. So I did kind of make them a little bit challenging. They were normally like, who is like the chief technical officer of Oculus? Who was the founder of Oculus? Those kind of questions. So easy if you're involved in the VR space, but maybe not so much as a sort of newcomer. But yeah, he finally got the headset. I sort of ordered it through Amazon directly in the US and got it shipped to him. So hopefully he'll have that in the next couple of weeks. And then as the Quest launched, I found out that they had some locally in my local Argos And I was like, oh, my brother came over like about a month ago, tried the Quest 2, loved it. He was in the headset for like the longest I've ever seen him in the headset before, and he said that he wanted one. So I bought one and took it straight over to his house and give it to him. And he was just about to head out on a bike ride with his girlfriend. And it was just such a really cool little moment to just see his face light up and then see him unboxing and help him set it up and get him like into like the first steps and, you know, give him some games to try out. So yeah, that was my highlight of the week, really, just sort of like sharing the VR love with other people. I think that was really, really satisfying.
I got another suggestion for you. The next thing you should give away is like processors to like very good friend of yours. Like,
yeah, you have to answer 3 questions, Rowdy. Yeah, no, absolutely. No, it's just nice to give something back, especially give it back to the community. And also, like, you know, my brother, bless him, he had a rough time of it like a few months ago getting COVID, and, you know, he's been working hard since then, you know, servicing boilers and, you know, going into people's houses, which is pretty risky anyway. So it was nice to cheer him up. So that was my highlight of the week.
Now he can fix boilers in VR and stay safe.
Exactly, yeah. And I'm looking forward to playing Pop 1 with him because he's a big Call of Duty Warzone fan. So hopefully I can get him into Pop 1 and we can play some together.
And a banana fan.
Yeah, of course, always.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Hit me up on that one.
Yeah.
We'll all introduce
We'll
him.
all jump in together, yeah. So let's jump into the news then. And the first bit of news this week I thought was kind of strange, but also kind of genius. And I really had to sort of talk about it on the show. And I shared it on my Twitter this week. So most of us in the VR space, you know, our social media feeds this week have just been full of white Quest boxes as consumers have been finally getting their hands on their shiny new headsets, which is amazing to see. And also let us know in the chat if, you know, you got a Quest 2 this week and what you think of it. We'd love to sort of know your thoughts. But one developer known on Twitter, known as Say Angel, so at Say Angel, if you want to go and check out his Twitter account, he decided to share his Quest 2 box, which was a little bit different, as he received his like months and months ago as an early dev kit. And the funny thing is that what Oculus did to prevent any leaks of like the official Oculus Quest 2 box art being leaked, they sent out Quest 2 dev kits in boxes disguised as irons. and by irons, I mean, like, you know, the kind of irons that you use to iron your clothes with.
Yeah.
And this is kind of weird because like the box is the exact same dimensions, but it's kind of got this like outer sleeve which shows like an iron in the middle and then a hot and cold tap either side of it. And it's also got some
It
strange...
wasn't with Steam or something? Steam? No.
Steam fully compatible with Steam. Yeah. But the funny thing was they branded it Slucou, SLUCOU, which is like an anagram of Oculus. And they even had like a round circle logo instead of like the what do they call it, the stadium as they refer to it as.
What is the other one? It was Arm. Oh wait, it's there on the
Army
on the
Arm.
Army Arm.
Army
Is
Arm.
that Myanmar or something?
I couldn't quite work that out.
I think it's like the code for the.
I think it's the code.
Headset.
Yeah.
Miramar.
Miramar.
Well, why didn't they
interesting.
call it this way? Because it sounds way better than Oculus Quest.
The Oculus Miramar, you prefer that, or the Slucou Miramar?
Slucou. I'm like, what do you want? I have a Slucou. Headset. Why not?
And the thing is, like, I'm sure this is pretty common practice amongst tech companies. You know, we've heard previously in the past where Apple have disguised their, you know, iPhones as the old generation iPhone, but it's just like a case around it, and they've been left in bars and stuff like that. But this is the first time we've ever really been able to see something like this. So I thought it was really interesting, and I wanted to share it.
I thought it was a troll first. I was like, someone photoshopped it. I thought it was funny
me
too.
as well.
And then I heard that it was like a serious thing. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's kind of genius though, right? You
I
know,
like
like,
it's smart.
If I'd have seen it, I'd have just like, I wouldn't have known what it was. So.
But so basically the pictures we saw of the Quest 2 when it got leaked, right? That one should have been in that box.
Yeah, exactly.
The person never decided to share that. Like,
No,
imagine
because-
us seeing that. People are like, yeah, that must be fake. That must be fake.
Exactly. People would have thought it was fake instantly. Yeah. But it's funny now, like now that I know this exists, I definitely want one, you know, and a bit like you, Nathy, like with collecting, you know, like the prototype headsets, you know, you kind of want one as a collector's item, right?
Box. Yeah.
Just the box.
So if you're a dev out there,
Also,
you have
the iron
one.
that was in there, I also want to have that. And the
You want the iron as well. It didn't come with an iron, by the way.
You could use
but if you're
iron
dev,
as well, by the way.
Want the soup glow.
Letting you know.
and you happen to have one of these boxes, then hit us up because I'm sure Nathy is probably into collecting one of these bad boys as well.
Happy to spend some ridiculous
The
money
monies.
on cardboard.
Yeah, absolutely.
The
So
funny
that
thing
is,
is, I got to ask you guys a question about this design.
Sure, go for it.
Is this box better than the design of the actual Oculus Quest 2 box. And take a good hard look at it. I mean, those taps look pretty nice.
Yeah, the weird thing about the Oculus Quest 2 box is they kind of put a border around it, and I think it would have benefited without the border. And I think someone photoshopped it on Reddit, and they did a really good job because it looked way better, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah, actually, if you think about it now, like if I look at the box, like it looks better. Of course, there's like nonsense stuff on there, but like in terms of where it is and how it's scaled, it looks really nice.
I have a question here. Sure. I received my Oculus inside the Oculus box inside another box. So, what's the point of camouflaging the box that's inside a box?
Right. I think when security opens it.
Yeah, or like say, it's just lying around, happens to be lying around. Yeah, I guess so. I guess it's just like extra measures, but I think it's awesome. I've never seen anything like this in the VR space.
Someone in the chat said the game that you can play on it is Iron Man VR.
Can you imagine actually playing that game and just like, oh, this game sucks, Mom. It's not the Marvel one. It's
the
one
ironing clothes.
Just ironing clothes the whole time.
Dude, if I can get my hands on a box like that, I'm gonna buy an iron that fits in there. I'm gonna unbox it and just be like, so this is the Oculus made this iron.
This is the Sluco
prototype.
Or just imagine coming home and your mom has already opened the box and she's like putting water in it. It's just like, this is a weird iron. Like, you're like, no.
I would like to actively encourage manufacturers to do this because I think it's just really fun. It's like when they used to have Easter eggs on chip dies, and you could zoom in and you could see this, little picture of a man or a bunny rabbit that's, the creator had put on it. It's the same thing. It's great to have this. I mean, I wouldn't take too much away from your marketing budget, and I hope that's not what happened here. But
here's another game, Iron Lights.
Iron Lights. Oh my god.
Zim, you might be onto something. Maybe Zuck could give away Facebook by putting one golden Oculus cover when he ships it out. And that could be the way you get your golden ticket to go in and see the Facebook Enterprise.
Maybe it'd be like Ready Player One. He'll give away the keys to the Oasis.
Could it be then that Oompa Loompas are making the Quest now, right? Because it's going really fast, and they must have a lot, man. Like,
but I don't get this image at all. I don't get it. Like, it's got taps on it, hot and cold, and an iron. Like, how did this not, like, someone see this and be like, that doesn't make any sense. This makes no sense.
But this must also be a brand from something. Like, this must be an iron from another brand that they put on there. Or is this just their own 3D made? So someone was like sitting there, and he's like the 3D artist, and someone's like, listen, we want you to make an iron.
I love it. Love it.
It's like, what am I doing?
I think it's mainly because of the size, because the controllers and the headset both have that roughly similar size. So if it gets scanned, that people go like, oh yeah, this is what it looks like.
Yeah. So that's a little bit of fun for you to start the news off this week. So next up, I wanted to talk about the mandatory Facebook requirement, as some people have had some issues accessing their new Quest 2 headsets this week. And I should point out that this is a relatively small amount of people. They kind of posted on Reddit, and that kind of like amplified things. And then, these big tech sites and have been like sharing this because, as soon as there's something negative in the VR world, tech sites want to jump all over it and make sure that everyone knows that people are having a bad time in VR, which is a shame. But yeah, I just want to sort of point out that this is a relatively small amount of people, and most of these things have been resolved now, but I think it's still worth talking about. And basically what it is in the Reddit post that I've read, it seems that it mainly affects people who previously didn't have a Facebook account, but obviously understand that a Facebook account is a requirement of the Quest 2. Yeah. And they've just created one just so they could use the Quest 2, which they've just bought. Yep. And because they've created a Facebook account so quickly and then tried to merge it with their Oculus account, for some reason, I don't know what it is, but it seems to be triggering some automatic flagging system where it's being banned and then locking people out of their headsets, which kind of sucks, right? Especially if you're excited, you're a new user, you've maybe just got into VR. It's not a particularly great first experience. So people posted this on their stories on Reddit. And then since then, people on Reddit, like users called Northband and Weavster, which were kind of like the two most popular stories, they've since reported back that their issues have now been resolved after contacting Oculus support. But it did take maybe 3 to 4 days to get it resolved, which again, it does suck because, if you've got a headset, you're excited to check it out. You have to wait 3 or 4 days because you're locked out of your account because you've created a Facebook account.
And not only that, like if that happens, you need to give your ID and stuff.
You do need to verify that you're who you say you are.
Take a photo of your actual ID. I mean, that's a big step to,
Yeah, it's not great.
Like, I don't know the reason for why it's happening, but I'm wondering if it's like if they're using an obvious like fake username or some kind of picture or like some kind of description that is obviously not correct. Then those kind of things could trigger it as well, for sure. One
of them certainly was using a pseudonym, I believe. So he had a personal account, he had a business account, he had created a third account for his Quest. And I think that flagged up something, and it was a big no-no. One other user was just like straight up, said something like "F you Oculus support" or something like that, and burnt some bridges there. So I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't do himself any favors, and maybe it takes a little bit longer to get that issue resolved. So if you're going to contact support, make sure you be nice to these people because these are the ones that are going to get you access to your headset again. But it does seem that Oculus are well aware of the issue, and they even tweeted about it this week. And they said that we're aware of a small number of customers who are having trouble using Quest 2 with their Facebook accounts. If you're one of the few who's having trouble setting up, we're ready and available to help. Just reach out and start a support ticket. And if you're interested, it's support.oculus.com. And then you can submit your support ticket there. But just be aware, it might take a few days.
I've also seen some people, and again, as you said, like it feels like it's been blowing up a little bit. But I've also seen people saying like, I just used my Oculus account and I could just log in and I didn't need to use Facebook on my Quest 2. And it's like, because it's mandatory.
It is mandatory, yeah. And just to reiterate, like creating a fake Facebook account is likely going to get you in hot water, and you don't want to go down that route and then have you locked out of your content or locked out of your headset in the future. And just to reiterate,
I did it
again,
the other way around. I used my real Facebook account and I decided not to use my Facebook account anymore from this point forward.
Well, yeah, just because you use a Facebook account doesn't mean you have to use it as a social media. But we should reiterate again that if you give your real name which you do have to when you sign up as a Facebook account, you don't have to show that in VR. You can show a username, and so I witnessed that when I set up my brother's Quest. He can set up a username so people don't know his real name.
Yeah, the thing I actually ran across something that relates to this linkage. I mean, all along I was kind of like, okay, I don't mind Facebook account linkage for the Oculus account and setup, but actually I hit a stone wall this week that I was like, oh, and now it's a real bugbear for me. I'll explain it. Sure. So like you, I'm always interested in sharing VR with my family, and this week my wife and I concluded it's like, okay, well, she's looking after our new little baby, so actually it would be better suited if we took this now smaller, lighter headset, gave it to my daughter who goes into VR quite a bit. She's 6. The problem is Facebook account limitation on minimum age for an account for her would be 12. So can't go create an account for her, which means we need to have an adult, almost like donating their kidney, donating their Facebook account to be able to link and set up a profile for them. I wonder, however, given the kind of tracking that the device is doing, will we reach a phase, maybe even soon, maybe even in 2021, where they start to profile you as, you don't seem to be Mike. You're clearly not Mike, and now we need you to verify that you are who you say you are. And I wonder if those kind of, I wouldn't call them biometrics, but the footprint, the thumbprint that you give when you're on a web browser or whatever like that, it's far easier to fingerprint somebody when they're doing their mannerisms, their motions in 6DoF space. So for us, that's a real pain in the rear. I'm looking at ways to kind of work around this. But I have to say that pales in comparison to the question my daughter asked me, which is, Daddy, can I put stickers on the headset? And I'm like, God damn it, girl. No stickers on the Quest 2.
It's interesting you bring that up, Sim, because actually Ken Bai tweeted about that in the past week as well. Apparently, Facebook figured this out 2 years ago already, how they could profile someone based on the behavior they're doing in a virtual reality headset, based on their mannerisms, based on their movements. They can actually fairly accurately profile the person from doing that, which is crazy, I think, that is possible. And
But think about the
it's
data
something to
elements,
keep
though.
in
It's
mind.
just like it's like that old photosynth app. Like if you take enough pictures of your room, boom, you've got a 3D map of your room. Think about the actual motions, the movement of your wrist or your arm. It's going to create
well,
a mathematical map
that's
that
what I
just
mean.
matches a formula. So
But that exists already for a very
makes
long
sense.
time. You have something that's called like gait analysis, where like every single human being has a specific form of gait, like the way that you walk, and there are other things like that as well. So I'm sure that with the amount of technology that they put in everyone's headset, that they're able to extract that data very easily and make a very unique profile on every single person.
and there's bad things to this science, and there's also really good things. The bad things are, okay, someone can control and insert and try to, control your what you're thinking, But the good things, which I've found recently, Google do this, for example. I can hop onto my device, I can hop onto like an Android phone or something, and it will float along with you. And you're like, I didn't log in. How does it know my accounts? How does it know what to log in on? And before long, you'll be able to pick up a headset, even if it's not your headset. And it's like, oh, here's all my accounts, and here's my login, or whatever. And so that's kind of neat.
You're basically trading privacy for ease of access, right?
Yeah, but you do that with so many devices.
It's the same with my bike that I just bought. If you want to ride my bike, you can't because it's my bike and it's linked to my phone. So you can't ride
No
it.
one can steal it.
No, well, I mean, you could still steal it.
So wait, if I steal your
I'll ride
phone, right? Can you
Oh my
then not
God,
ride
yeah,
your
then
own
you
bike?
can ride it. Yeah.
So that'd be kind of interesting in the future if they like scanned your retinas and they like knew it was you from a retina scan and then it just logged you straight into your account.
But I'm saying you don't even now, and this is what Rowdy is talking about that tweet from Kempai and some of the white paper work that Oculus had mentioned earlier. Like I would bet that you could right now profile you as you pick up a headset, any Oculus headset, and say this is Mike, and actually securely log you in and be like, okay, we know that's Mike for sure. The thing I'm requesting, and I've seen this on Reddit quite a bit from other people in my situation.
I see what you did there.
Requesting. I'm requesting that Facebook like pipeline and hopefully prioritize, especially because Christmas is coming, family accounts, like guest accounts on a device, because if you've got your account logged in or whatever, like even if you have to buy software independently for that separate account or whatever, just give us the ability that the device can be used by someone else, a guest.
Like you can on Netflix and stuff like
exactly
that.
But like on Netflix.
But the thing is,
or PlayStation.
but
Or
it's
Xbox.
like still like we're talking about kids, man. Like you can't mine data from kids. You know what I mean?
They said that this was coming though. They said that this
You
was
can,
coming.
yeah. Well, I'm sure you can. But
That you can switch between Facebook accounts to log in.
But
to a
the
headset.
Quest is 13 plus officially.
Mhm.
So if you make kids accounts, then it's not 13 plus.
My thought is that if Zim is giving his daughter a Facebook account that's attached to his Facebook account, he's essentially giving his daughter that go ahead. That is him bypassing that 13. He's saying, I'm okay with it. My daughter can play the headset. He's giving that authorization past that.
Because even if you're not 13 or like under 13, I don't even think you're allowed to even have a Facebook account, right? I don't know what is the
That's what I was saying. That's the main barrier to the account side.
I think it's
Before
not
that
possible right now. It's like same what happened to YouTube, where they were like mining data from kids as well. That wasn't allowed either. So I don't see.
You know why that is, right? It's because Facebook is an advertising platform. It's not because of social exposure.
Correct.
But that is indeed that's a problem that Facebook needs to resolve, especially if they want to target,
Wasn't it copper or something like that? It's called.
It was
like
copper,
the act?
but taking it away from those regulations, which are child protection regulations, and focusing instead on, say, I've got a 15-year-old, right?
Yeah.
And I've got a Quest, and I've got a wife who plays, and I play, and whatever. Like, why doesn't it work like a Switch, where I've got a profile that floats with me, that I can select another profile, so that my game save or whatever on Quest natively is picking up as I transition the headset. So just like Netflix, just like a Switch.
We know why that is, right? Because Facebook wants the data.
But you're even actively saying this is a different user, So you're just giving them access to more data.
They've already said that this is happening. They've confirmed that this is going to be a feature in the future.
It's pretty standard. I mean, if you own a PlayStation or a Switch or Netflix or Disney Plus, you can make like infinite accounts on that account. So
yeah.
So
so please come
sorry, go on.
quickly.
No, I guess one thing, all of those can be used by more than one person. The Quest can only be used by one person at a time. So there is that also consideration. Maybe that's part of the reasoning, but.
True. Going back to our Sluco Iron, someone had a really good suggestion for a game that might be available on that device, and that is Pleat Saver.
Pleat Saver.
Pleat Saver. As in saving pleats through ironing them. Genius. Whoever came up with that, genius. Well done, you. But yeah, that is about Facebook accounts. Some users had a few issues. Looks like most of them have been resolved. If you're having this experience yourself, go and contact Oculus support, but be nice to them, and hopefully they'll get you back on track within a few days. But this kind of leads me nicely onto the next bit of news. As a former Altspace developer who's now working at Mozilla Hubs, a guy called Robert Long is trying to crowdsource for a huge reward for anyone that can successfully jailbreak the Oculus Quest 2. So originally, Robert offered $5,000 to anyone that could jailbreak the original Oculus Quest. And then that never happened. So he extended that offer again to the Quest 2 when it released. But now Robert wants to crowdfund up to $50,000 in a pool by getting more developers and VR enthusiasts on board. So his ultimate plan with this, with jailbreaking, is that he wants to try and bypass the Facebook requirement system and use something like SideQuest as a platform for content. So I think it's kind of an interesting idea, but I guess by doing that, you would probably lose a lot of the online functionality. You would lose the complete library of content that Oculus are providing, so you would only be limited to then SideQuest content, which is good, but it's not as interesting, I don't think, as the main source of content.
So is this really because he's interested to see if it can be done, or is it more of a statement towards like open VR?
I think it's both, because he said that he didn't want to develop anything in the Mozilla Hub's open XR space and get Oculus on board if this was going to be a requirement as him as a dev to have a Facebook account. So he was very sort of like anti this account requirement, and that's why he put up the money. And then it was interesting because when he tweeted about this recently, Palmer Luckey himself even posted that he would match the initial $5,000 if someone was successful. But
That's
of course
amazing.
He's going even further now with this crowdfunding. Because
I do think that Facebook lawyers are going to eat that up if that actually comes to fruition.
Yeah, the thing is, like, jailbreaking devices used to be quite popular with iPhones back in the day, and I used to get involved in that as well. But then, Apple eventually made all these kind of jailbreak applications and processes that were kind of like desirable and made them part of the product anyway. So then it was like, well, this is just more of a hassle now. So I wonder if that'll be the same case.
Some companies have like bounties for hacking them, right? Where
They do.
if you hack Apple, if you're able to hack Apple, they come to your place and you have to show it, and they pay you.
And they patch it. Yeah.
And then they patch it. I don't know if Facebook has that, but usually it's like, it sounds like a bad thing, but it's actually a good thing because it makes the device,
showing an exploit, right?
Yeah, showing the exploits, exactly. I think this is really, I just love this. This is like the Wild Wild West again, and it breaks out every time you get a new technology out. I'm really curious how long it will take and if somebody takes the bait. Because as that money pool rises, I mean that's some serious cash. I mean, you talk 5,000, it's like I'm not going to put risk there.
It's a bit double, man. Because if you think about like those people, as you said, it's also a bit of a statement. So by trying to hack into it, you actually make it you make it more of a sealed thing, right? So you don't necessarily help it.
You're diverting. What you're doing by doing that, I think, is you're immediately diverting resources from Facebook's team who's working on the tech from, okay, I'm going to work on the actual tech, to now I have to defend it. So you're costing them money by just even talking about it, getting it into publications. You're costing them money. So if your objective is cost them money, distract them from the main goal, then you've achieved it.
Aren't they saving them money? You're offering $50,000 for someone to hack the thing, and then ultimately you're exposing the hack, and then the Facebook gets a free hack exposed to them that they can then patch.
But I don't think Facebook has a lot to fear from that, as long as they have exclusive content onto their store, because you will not be able to access the store without logging into that using a Facebook account, regardless of you being able to have a software running on there.
The thing as well is that these like jailbreaks and hacks are becoming more and more difficult as technology evolves, like, we saw with the original iPhones, it was super easy, right? Now the Nintendo Switch, even people are trying to jailbreak that, and it's still been it's been years since the Switch has been out, and that's an even more popular device than the Quest 2 is, and they're still struggling to do that. So I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. I think it's very optimistic.
Something from the past for sure. Even the PlayStation 4 could not really be hacked. Well, I remember the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3. There were like people you could go to here that would just kind of hack into it, and before you knew it, you had like free games everywhere. But I mean, it's of course it's not great for the ecosystem for devs to have that, because then imagine if
it opens up to
download
piracy.
all of the Quest 2 games on the Pirate Bay. Who's still going to make money then, right?
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. Yeah, piracy is a big problem with jailbreaking.
But I think
devices.
it's good to have this challenge, and also for the people that are not really into Facebook, this is of course a great opportunity to show a different sound.
I think the reason for those less hacking things now is that because you have like the resurgence of like that online market, where it's just so much easier to like just spend a few quid in order to get something, rather than to invest into something that potentially might break your device or brick your device.
It's the whole Napster thing, isn't it? Napster and LimeWire, those platforms are super popular, and then iTunes, they made it so easy to buy like content legitimately. Yeah, same with Steam, and with Quest 2, everything's just super easy, whereas now you're just trying to make it more complicated.
I have to say, when you go to set up, and this isn't like amazing tech, but when you go to set up another Quest after you set one up, like being able to flash remotely from the app all your previously downloaded content. So if you're moving from Quest 1 to Quest 2, don't do it in the headset, is what I would say. I would say put your headset on and then do it by the app, and you can go bam, 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 and it'll just queue up and download them all. And it's like so nice. So nice.
That's so true. That's so true. And it's a really handy feature. You're totally right, Zim. Good recommendation.
That's amazing. But I'm kind of, I don't want to glaze over the fact that the original kind of creator of the Oculus Rift and Oculus as a company is now vying against Palmer Luckey is now jumping on the bandwagon to say, and supporting his original comment, which is, Facebook account will not be required to log into the device. He's clearly now going, like, that pissed me off. And now he's saying, I'm going to put an arrow and I'm going to fire it at the glass house. And I think that's it's a really bold move. He's a bold guy. I'm kind of glad to see it to some extent, because when you have an original creator and they've sold their baby off, it's like when Marcus Persson, who's Notch, was talking about Minecraft in a sale to Microsoft or whatever, like some years later. And when the original creator doesn't agree with the changes that the new owner is making, I find it very entertaining to see that, whether it's good or bad for the industry.
But at the same time, I'm a little bit like, but you did sell it to Facebook and for Notch as well, but you did sell it to Microsoft. I mean, you can complain afterwards that, but like,
you kind of need to zip it, right?
Ever think that Facebook was not going to get more involved into this?
Yeah,
but
billions of dollars.
The monies don't replace the feeling for your baby,
But I agree with Rowdy. Like once you kind of taken the money, you kind of have to zip it.
The money turned him into Tony Stark. He is like Tony Stark now. He's like building Arendelle and creating cyber drones and all sorts of crazy stuff.
Let's not talk about what Lucky is doing now, because that's
Tony Stark with flip-flops.
Yeah, and a Hawaiian shirt and shorts.
And a political agenda.
I still love him.
I think this is, dude, like seriously, this whole hack thing, it's super entertaining. Let them just do it, man.
It'll be interesting to see if it happens. I don't know. I'm kind of, I'm not so optimistic that it will happen anytime soon. But with 50K on the line,
we need you. You're a master hacker. I think you're like
hacker man.
The thing is, this stuff, right? Like this is like low-level things. If they happen to attract someone like Anonymous, like one of these larger hacker groups that can do serious corporate damage, if they attract like their attention and that arsenal that they carry with them, that could be serious damage for Oculus. And
that's why they want to raise the money price, because then you get more people trying it.
But they're doing it for the reason, right? They're not doing it for the money. Like that's a very interesting.
For the sport.
Yeah, for the stuff, exactly.
But I kind of think that it would have happened already. Like, the Quest was very popular. I don't know.
It's not that popular though. It really is. I mean, like, this is the problem. Like, we all think it's popular because it's popular in our little bubble.
In our bubble, it's popular.
But walk up to somebody at a bus stop, right, and say, "Hey, who's got a Quest?" And if they all don't turn around and look at you funny, I'll be surprised. 2 years from now,
that's changing, though.
I think that's changing. I think that's changing. You know what the funny part is? I was in Solaris the other night, and I was like, what headset are you on? Every single person was on Quest 2. It's like, it's just such a buzz right now, and it's going to keep going, and Christmas is going to be nuts. Can't wait.
So that is the news that they're raising 50,000, or crowdfunding $50,000 to try and jailbreak Quest 2. Last bit of news this week. Rowdy's going to be upset about this. Some sad news about Lone Echo 2.
Oh.
What? Wait, what?
We were only talking about this recently on the show, right? That we hadn't heard any news from Ready at Dawn from a little while. Well, they posted a blog post this week with a little update that didn't give really any information. So they said, while we have no new information regarding a release date for Lone Echo 2 to announce right now, we wanted to take a moment to reassure you that we are still working diligently working to bring you Jack and Liv's next adventure together as soon as we are able. So that's pretty much all they said.
That's the bad news.
That is the bad news. They kind of highlighted that,
Jack and Liv, who I don't remember.
They kind of highlighted that remote working with COVID has created some challenges for the studio, which I think all dev studios can relate to, which has slowed down the game's development. But I think based on what they said, I think it's unlikely that we're going to see Lone Echo 2 this year.
You see, it is coming to the Quest 2 because the PC version was already done before the whole COVID thing. But they decided to port it over, and they were so deep into it.
Is that what you think?
Yeah, 100%.
That's my conspiracy theory.
He's right. Yeah, Nathan, you're right. Because the thing is, it was running so well, it was just a matter of content and staging. And that was... how many years ago now? 2 years ago or something? Jesus.
2 years at E3.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's like... yeah, I agree. The thing is, you want to get it ready for the right platform and then launch the missile.
Okay, so let me throw this one into the works then a little bit. What if Ready at Dawn? Okay, we're making a Quest port, but it comes out and it's exclusive to Quest 2.
No.
How do you think?
Hell no.
How do you think people will react to that?
Goddamn no.
I'd be pissed.
Surprised. I'd be pissed.
Yeah. You got Quest 2 though, Rowdy. Why would you be pissed?
Yeah,
because like the entire reason. I mean. No, let's again, like I learned my lesson from last week. I haven't played it yet, right? But the thing is, I want to experience this game in the highest fidelity possible.
Yeah.
This game, like, it took a little special place in my heart when I played it for the first time on the Oculus Rift, the CV1. And it looked gorgeous back then. I remember that, and
still one of the best looking games, I would say.
I'm sure that if they would bring it down on Quest 2 right now, it probably look maybe even as good as it did on the CV1. Well, maybe not as good, but come close to that. And I'm sure that it will look great, but still it would look so much better if it's powered by by then probably like a 4090 Ti or whatever that's going to require. But I want to experience this game in like the highest fidelity that I can possibly afford.
Most people
currently is not.
Most people can't afford a computer, so they're not even going to complain in the first place. But I don't think
you asked my personal opinion.
Yeah, of course, that's true. Yeah, you're a PC enthusiast. I understand.
That's a tough question. I kind of would be surprised if they did that. I mean, if they did like a staged release and they did that first, I could see that happening, but never releasing for PC VR.
I think it's unlikely. I just wanted to kind of like spark some conversation.
It's just wanted to see me get pissed.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
I mean, the Quest 2 is a PC VR headset as well, but it's of course clear that everything that came to the Oculus Rift S was actually meant to be on Quest 2, and they tried to postpone everything for as long as they could.
What about you, Alex? What do you think?
Kind of wonder if they're working on maybe porting both. Like maybe it's not just the effort of them getting Lone Echo 2 on the Quest 2, but maybe they're also upping Lone Echo as well, and then they're going to do a package. Also, in the back of my head, what else comes with Lone Echo 2? Because we had Echo VR coming with Lone Echo, and so does that mean there's an Echo 2 VR that comes with Lone Echo 2? Maybe that's, leads to more development time. Lots of questions that I have floating around in my head in terms of what they're really going to do when it comes down to it. But I can't imagine them abandoning the PC base. There's just no way, because that's where they started. That's the core fan base.
Thank you.
I don't think they would abandon the PC. But what I'm saying is what I meant by my comment was that they'll release it on PC. they'll release it on Quest, but it'll be exclusive to Quest 2, taking advantage of the XR2 chipset, and it won't be able to run on Quest 1. That was my kind of.
I think it would make sense to bring Lone Echo 1 also to Quest, because you need to know that most people who now own a Quest, they're like, who the heck is?
They didn't play Lone Echo.
Jack, and who the heck is Lone Echo or whatever?
Now I'm getting what you mean. Yeah, I wouldn't care if it now comes out on the Quest.
Oh, Ryder doesn't care all of a sudden. He's like, I've got Quest 2, I don't care. But no, and that was just hypothetical, of course. It's just me sparking some conversation there. I don't think that we'll see any Quest 2 exclusive content for some time, and I don't think this will happen. But...
I just hate them constantly delaying titles, man. It's annoying. It's like they're saving stuff up. Just invest some more money into new stuff, so you don't have to delay games for like 3 years again.
I hope it's not going to happen to Medal of Honor as well.
Yeah, I was just thinking Medal of Honor.
2 years from now, we'll be saying we have some news from Medal of Honor VR.
We've got a release date, right? We know that's coming.
Do you think it will come out exclusively with a Quest 5, or will it?
Can I just quickly touch on that? I don't think we spoke about this, but Zim pointed this out to me. So if you watched the Oculus Connect live stream. So we spoke about Medal of Honor the first time at, I think it was with the Gamescom live stream, right? There was this guy who spoke to Jeff about the game, and he said some funny stuff about multiplayer. He didn't really knew what to say, but he was back. He was back at the Oculus Connect live stream, or what is it? Facebook Connect. Sorry, Facebook Connect for the new folks. Facebook Connect. There we go. And he was there, and so they wanted him to make a quick video to pretty much, promote that Medal of Honor is coming this Christmas. So he pops up, and he's pretty much saying like, we're excited for you to all play Medal of Honor, this and that. And then he's like, so it's coming to Steam, and it's coming to the Oculus Store, and see you soon, right? And then after that, I think it was, what's the name of this? Ruth.
It might be Ruth. Yeah, from Facebook.
I think, yeah. And then they pretty much said afterwards that Oculus was the best platform to go for. Basically saying Steam is not relevant, and Steam is also something that does not exist in our ecosystem. But they did not like this man saying that it was also coming to Steam.
Yeah. Especially because they funded it, and it's been in development for such a long time. And if you're interested, by the way, this is coming out on the 11th of December on both Steam and Oculus platforms.
It's weird though. Like when I played Population 1 on Steam, like the Facebook logo popped up. I've never ever seen that before in my life. So even that they might not like Steam,
the same thing.
They're gonna do a lot of sales on those platforms.
Absolutely, yeah.
Sony already did it before with the Groundhog Day game. That one was from Sony. Yeah. They published it everywhere.
But I think as well, like especially with Population 1, they know that they need players for that game to be successful, and they almost need the Steam platform as well just to boost the numbers.
Yeah.
They always need the Steam platform. At least for the upcoming years, they still need it.
For multiplayer anyway, I agree.
For multiplayer, for sure, yeah.
So that is Lone Echo 2. A little bit of an update from Ready at Dawn, although no new information. Sadly, we think it's going to be delayed until into 2021, but we'll keep you posted as soon as we hear any more news. So now let's talk to Alex and get into some sort of VR esports stuff. Because this is super interesting, and I don't think any of us are particularly that involved with VR esports or track it regularly enough to really understand what's going on in that sort of side of the VR marketplace. So it'd be interesting to get this kind of insight from Alex directly. But
got
maybe
an
you can.
T-shirt.
Yeah, well, that makes you a pro straight away, right? So maybe Alex, you can start about like before you got involved with like VR Master League. Like, how did you get involved in VR in general? Like, what was your sort of first foray into VR?
It started at I guess we have so much Oculus talk, right? But it started with the HTC Vive. That's when I initially got in. Right at the beginning of that, I took the leap of faith. I had heard VR. I had no idea what it was. I had not seen any videos. I wanted it. I bought the device, and I remember putting that on and having tears of amazing. I knew it was the next thing. It's like to see a cube rendered in front. It's so funny to think like I was amazed by floating controllers in a cube that was floating in front of me. But that's where it kind of all started. And then, one of my first games was Onward. Like that was the first thing I played. It came out, and it was one of the first games that came out for the Vive. It's a very long-standing shooter, and I played it into the ground. You know, I started to do a little streaming. That's how I met Zim on twitch.tv. We'd encounter each other every now and again. And I just stuck with Onward. Put hours and hours and hours into that, and eventually started to expand into other stuff. You know, it took me a while before I got into Echo. That's really one of the more recent loves of mine in terms of the esports scene. But I mean, it all started with the Vive and with Onward. And from there, I just kind of, now I have, it's, 5 headsets later.
Right. So like prior to getting into VR, had you like dabbled in Twitch streaming or like any online content prior to that?
No, not really. And so I guess I chose the hardest thing to do as my first step.
Yeah, I was exactly the same. Yeah, I'd never done anything like this before prior to VR. It was my first foray into online content.
No.
I guess, when you look at Twitch and you look at streaming, you're trying to find what makes you unique or how can you get an edge to sort of grow. And I saw VR as that initial sort of, wow, this is unique. Like if I'm doing this is definitely going to catch an eye or two and people will come back. And so that was sort of the initial drive for me to start doing content. And at that point, right, also, you've already built a whole, especially for the Vive, I've built a master, I went and rebuilt a computer. I've got another one lying around. Turn that one into a stream PC, then go get a capture card. Next thing you know, you're putting green screens on your wall and turning your living room into a studio. And, it spirals so fast downhill. But yeah, I mean, it just, I think that's what really started it. It was the fact that I had to get a powerful system to run VR. And then I was like, well, shoot, I got this thing. I might as well stream on it too, because this thing is a powerhouse. Yeah. And so, I mean, I had done some other stuff before. I'd tried Ark Survive. I'd tried streaming Ark and some other shooters and stuff. But I mean, VR was really where I started to get deep into the Twitch. And I tried to do that I tried to do the VR only thing where I was only playing VR games. I skipped so many great 2D titles that I went and revisited years later, like God of War and stuff. But I mean, it consumed me entirely.
That's awesome. And it's amazing to think that, 4 years later, we're now playing Onward on a completely standalone headset. And like you say, that in terms of graphics, although it's not exactly like the PC version, it's getting very close.
Yeah.
It's, and I think it's for guys like me that there are a lot of us in the Onward community too, but it's for guys like us that have experienced Onward when it came out on the Vive, day one, where it's like, it's really an impact where you're just like, how is this possible? This game was barely running on my PC when I bought it, and now it's been optimized to a point where it's a smooth, fun experience on a mobile device. There's 10 people in my lobby at one time. We can interact with each other. It takes time because I'm so ingrained to like PC graphics. It looks so good. The game looks so nice. And then you go into Quest and it's certainly a change, but it's just, it's so easy to forget that sometimes that it's just on a mobile platform and you can take it anywhere.
Yeah, and it's funny because at the beginning of the show you said, you've been reaching for your Quest 2 more than your Index, and I've certainly felt the same way. Just recently, I don't know what it is because
it's a barrier to entry, right?
Yeah.
To a certain degree, yeah. And like. For Squadrons, we played online multiplayer, with Zim and a few other VR content creators a couple of weeks back. And I did use the Index for that, but it was purely because of a battery concern that I was going to run out of battery when we were playing together, streaming wirelessly. But now I've got like the battery strap ordered, it is coming, although it is delayed because I think there's a shortage of them. That won't be a problem necessarily in the future. And I think the Quest 2 will probably be my go-to headset for everything. But how did that sort of transition from then sort of Twitch streamer that was like really in love with Onward? How did that sort of transition into getting involved with the VR Master League, and how did that all come about?
It is all tied together. I started the Twitch streaming, and Onward was really the passion, and it was. I mean, I played in the first iterations of the VR Master League. When we were initially just putting it together as something that we wanted to. It came together because as a community, we wanted to play each other competitively. I wanted to play with the same 5 and sort of hone in strats and then play against somebody else that had done the same thing. And so it was just for us, like we made the VRML for the Onward folks because we just wanted to play some good Onward. We just wanted to play some competitive Onward. And more people started to stream. They started to stream their perspectives of playing games. And so I started to get more and more FPS views available that I can watch this person play against this person. I would then take those FPS views, crop them into a, corner, put me in the bottom right, and try and cast over those FPS views before we had spectate or anything, and that's where it really originated from, was me just pulling in these first person views from players and casting over them. And I remember comments like, why are you on the screen? No one wants to see you behind a desk. You should get out, And I stuck to the guy. I was like, look, I'm going to do what I want to do. This is my show. It's on my channel. I'm going to be featured on it, But
yeah,
I stuck to that system. And then finally we got spectate. And pretty much as soon as spectate was introduced, I think around season 2, maybe late season 1, that was when it was like, oh, there's more we can do now. I can actually go in and cast this. More people recognizing, hey, I can go in and spectate games and cast them. And so once I started to do that, then the interest from other people started to spark up, and in the early days, admittedly, I wasn't as fundamental in its growth. It was really just the organic community growing it. People saying, hey, I want to stream, and Dak and the leader of the VRML going, sure, yeah, hey, here's the keys to the castle, go ahead, stream on our channel. We just want games to be covered. And it grew over the course of 4 years into something that is now like, we're quite a force. We have 15 casters for Onward. I think we're pushing over 15 for Echo Arena. We're trying to stand up the Pavlov casting team now because they have gotten spectate, into a more passable state. And so, it really has grown into something that is in an organization, and it's taken us, it's been a long time to get it to where it is, but it's been a while. It's been fun. That's the origin story, is that I started streaming FPS views, and from there, it just kind of slowly grew. I'd say around season 5 was when we really started to get things together.
And it's awesome that you've all come together, because I take it you were playing against random teams and you were just destroying them and the competition just wasn't there. Is that right?
I mean, yeah, if you put things are different now, but if you put anyone that plays in the league into a pub lobby, they're going to have a good time. You know what I mean? Those league players, they're very honed in and skillful in the game. And yeah, I mean, you're basically just, it came to the point where, I'm sprinting at the enemy, trying to murder all 5 of them before they can even get anywhere, and at that point you're like, yeah, I'm kind of ruining the experience for these people. I'm just kind of coming up onto them and murdering them before anything happens. They have no idea what's happening. They quit the lobby.
It's like when we play with Viper, that's what happens. Yeah. But maybe you can explain, on a level, how different are pro players compared to general players. What is it that makes them so much better? Is it reaction times? Is it what is it that makes them better?
Yeah, there's a lot that I can unpack with just that question. I think at the VRML there's a very wide range. Admittedly, the way that it's structured is it's all based off of a MMR system. So if you win a game, you gain MMR. If you lose a game, you lose MMR. Right. And so if you are a new team, you play 3 placement matches against low, bronze level teams. And if you do well, you play against this, kind of like if you're playing League of Legends placements, you get matched accordingly. And then at the end of that, you get assigned a MMR. And so then you're getting paired with teams that are supposed to be similar skill rank to you. So there's actually, from top to bottom, we have teams that put in 5 hours of practice a day. They're on free roam. They are killing. They're putting in scrims every day. They're organizing with other teams to play against. They're honing in their strategies. They're going into a scrimmage. It's a scrimmage
for the non-pro player.
Yeah. Thanks. It's basically like a match between two casual match between 2 teams. So you still get the practice in. You still get the ability to play it competitively, kind of like old school VRML. It's like the origins. That's kind of why we did it. But at the same time, you don't have the pressure of, if we lose, we're going to go down in rank. And so it's a little less intense, and you can kind of focus more on, let's try a new strategy here. Let's try moving here differently. Let's try placing a smoke in this position versus that. Gives you a little bit of room to practice. But, from top to bottom, there's a wide skill range. So I would say, at the top, again, guys that, like myself, have put over 1,200 hours into the game. Wow. If you are a new player, there's no chance you're competing against them. And that's a fact. You can't. And I'm not gonna be light around the subject. That's just how it is. At the same time, at the bottom of our pool, down at the bronze, it's filled, and I tell you, filled with new Quest players. There is a ton of people that have come into this game and really enjoyed it out the gate. They see, oh, there's a competitive scene, oh, there's prizing to it, and they sign up and they get matched. And so there is a very wide range from top to bottom of skill base in the VRML and all of the leagues. And that's one of the things I like the most about it.
Yeah, that's good.
Is that, if you, no matter what skill level you're at, you can get in. Obviously, some people in Echo recommend, getting up to at least level 30 or 40 before you start to try and play the game competitively, because you have to get the fundamentals down. I recommend the same with Onward. You put in your time to get the fundamentals before you try and get to that next level. But I mean, that's what all these guys are doing, and it's there's quite a big skill gap, admittedly. Yeah. But it's not to deter anyone from playing and having a good time in the league.
And do you think as well, like, when we talked about VR esports in the early days, it was all about like, like VR esports players are going to be like proper athletes, because it's so physical. There's so much physicality to playing like a VR game. Do you see that as well in like these games like Onward and like Lone Echo? Is there a big physicality element to it?
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at Lone Echo Echo Arena is really the one that's the most physical esport. You are jumping, you are there's a lot of arm movement. The throwing is very physical. It's wild to watch, and I still definitely stand by the fact that these esports players have to be fit. And I think one thing we're seeing too, obviously with the Quest, is a lot of a younger audience, a lot more people that are 13, 14, 15 that are starting to play in the league. And that's going to be a factor. These kids are quick. They have, as an example off the top of my head, if you were to get shot and you instantly laid on your floor in Onward, you could fake a death that way. You could pretend that you have been shot and someone stops shooting at you. I'm at almost 30. I'm not going to go prone I'm not going to dive onto my floor to avoid a shot.
So high as well, like.
It's true. I'm high up there. I got to go all the way down. And so, there's going to be inherent advantages to a younger audience, to a younger player base as well, just because of the physicality of it all. So, we're starting to see it a little bit in Onward because we've been around the longest with that. But also Echo, you're seeing the young players really play it well. They are very good at this game, and so, it's exciting.
Do you see more and more genres becoming an esport? Because in the mainstream scene, there are so many different ways of you have esports where people play Street Fighter against each other. And then you have people who play Rocket League. And then you have, there's so much different. Well, in the VR scene, it's now shooters, and of course you have Echo that is like, is it like disc golf basically, or what is it like?
Yes, that's a good I'm glad you bring that up, because it is something that the VRML has been looking to expand themselves into as well. But you've seen it already with other organizations. They've put on events that have been with Pro Putt, they've been with Synth Riders, they've been with Beat Saber, they've done stuff with Walking Dead. You can do leaderboard based esports. It's, for me, I come from playing collegiate baseball, so I have the very deep competitive nature just burned into me, and so I see games and I'm like, okay, you got to play this at a very competitive level. It's got to be team. It's got to be visceral. You have to be communicating and have that sort of level of communication. But you don't. There are other spaces to explore. Absolutely. You've seen pistol whip tournaments go on. There are other avenues that are untapped markets, in the VR esports space, in my opinion. These companies that could be hosting events or, reaching out to the VRML to host their events, we could put on great shows for a couple of these games that could have, these leaderboard competitions.
But do you think that because I sometimes see developers trying to make their games like an esport by throwing a lot of money at it, but in the end, it's the community, right, who picks what game becomes an esport. Onward has been chosen by the community. It's not that Dante was like, hey, let's put a prize here because I want my game to be an esport. It's like natural growth that you talk about, I think.
Yep, and I think the thing that we try and do at the VRML is really suss out which ones are going to have that community. We try and find, okay, what new games are going to have the community that we can stand up a nice competitive esports scene around, because it's all community run. You know, I don't run the Echo Arena casting scene. That's done by Palador. He is deeply infused in that community. You know, that entire Echo Arena mod team is players and people that are deeply infused in the Echo Arena community. You know, and so any game we go to that we want to expand to, we make sure that it is community first. And I think that's what sets us apart from any other esports organization. An esports organization is not going to come into you and go, hey, look, we want you guys to run it. We're going to give you a platform, run the show. It just doesn't happen. But we offer that as sort of our grassroots style of how we bring up esports, you know? And so, I mean, I guess a little inside scoop. I hate that it's another shooter because you said it, but Snapshot VR, definitely one that I have an eye on. It's basically paintball in VR. They can port professional paintball maps into the space, and you can play. You know, it's really something. It's completely different than Onward or any other shooter because you are playing paintball. It's very much like paintball. You're feathering the trigger. You're putting down lanes of fire. You're trying to dodge stuff. It looks rudimentary, but you know, it's stuff like that where we're trying to keep an eye on new games that are being developed by, you know, indie developers, and then trying and finding out if those can be good esports scenes. One of the cool ideas that came out that's kind of along those lines, Nathan, is one of our casters suggested, let's do a speedrun competition for Lone Echo. You know, let's cast Lone Echo speedrunning. And it's like, hey, yeah, they do that for GDC. Why can't we do it at the VRML? You know, so yeah, we are certainly looking into doing other things like that.
Do you also see arena-based VR come more to life, where it's like a complete like warehouse scale where people fight each other? Of course, right now it's kind of difficult, but I mean, you know,
it's not. There's an EU company that is building arenas around. I don't know what game it is. It's a game developed. I wish I could remember the name of the company off the top of my head. But they build these arenas that are then designed so that you are wearing a backpack PC and you're physically moving in the space, and people are then watching it. They have the screen in the center as a square. That I see as sort of like, that's like the pinnacle of the future of esports. You know, obviously that takes way more work. You know, you're gonna have to have the quests synchronizing with each other. Onward has to develop it to do that. You have to scale your maps accordingly. The logistics of it are obviously, you know, not there yet, but that's what I envision the future as.
I've seen this when I went to China last time. There was this one arcade who did a lot of esports because they were all about warehouse scale VR, and there was someone standing there with a microphone doing the commentary with, like, on the big screen, the players with this nice spectator cam, while also seeing the people running around in this, you know, actual space. So it is happening. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see more genres coming to VR, because usually when you think about esports VR, it's usually like shooters. But I think we're going to see, as you said, like golf. Like,
yeah. Yep.
That actually brings us nicely to a question we got from the chat. There was at Roy who asked us, I'm assuming for you, Alex, what do you see the future of consumer VR go to?
Well, that's an interesting question, because I feel like at really a fundamental level, the VR, like, we are tapped into a large portion of the community. You know, we have branding and stuff in Onward that shows, hey, go to the VRML. You know, people are seeing VRML when they load in Onward. They're seeing it when they load into Echo Arena. And so we, in the VRML, have seen a monumental growth from the Quest player base, like quadruple our player numbers. You know, that was when the Quest 1 launched. Since then, it's been nonstop growth. Basically, the Quest kicked off a upward swing that we have not seen go down, because Quest 2 has come out now. And so that has continued this momentum. And it's just wild to see that these two platforms seemingly dominate the player base. You know, like the Quest and Quest 2, that's where most of the players are, from what I can tell. You know, yes, I know the PC base is there. I'm not you know, saying that they're not. I'm not saying that they don't deserve to have their PC games, but it's just clear that this ease to access is what's the most important.
But you're totally right.
More players.
Yeah. You're totally right, because like, if you look at us, you know, as content creators, and also this podcast today, you know, most of the news and most of the content that we're all creating at the moment is Quest related, and it isn't because we don't love PC VR, because that's totally not the case. You know, we love PC VR, and that's how we all started in this space. but it's just like you can't deny the sheer amount of numbers and interest in the new headset compared to PC right now. You know, if we was to talk about a load of PC related news, I'm sure like our hardcore community would be happy, but you know, it's not going to appeal to the masses. And I think that's the same with going to be the same with VRML, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, Roddy. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, it's just, you know, it's. And now I get really excited too, because we were talking about it earlier, but the Quest 2 is really, in my opinion, the first competitive VR headset since the Rift S. Or not the Rift S, excuse me, since the Rift CV1 with the 4 sensors. You know, they have not introduced a headset that I could comfortably go, yes, let's run a tournaments with these. You know, let's run a tournament with a Rift S. Let's run a tournament with a Quest. I couldn't in good conscience do that because they had their hiccups, you know, they had their tracking issues. I honestly think if we have good lighting in the proper space, we could do a Quest 2 tournament. You know what I mean? I think you could host a tournament around these devices because they are competitively viable now. And so you add that on top of, you know, the fact that we're already growing from the Quest player base. So it's an exciting time.
It's going to be great to watch people play with the Quest 2, not only from just your screen watching a live stream, but also when physical things can happen again.
That looks amazing.
We remember watching, Onward at Connect. I've never seen VR esports before.
People laying on the floor.
I was like, wow, this is amazing. Yeah, exactly. But imagine if you have, or, you know, people standing on the spot with their Quest 2 having some space because, I mean, it's wireless and stuff, or even where it is an arena where we played, you know, Dead and Buried in VR. Imagine
and then like running around holographic overlay on there.
Yeah, dude, like that would be amazing. Seriously.
The cost of a pop-up tournament would be pretty low. If you think about it, even back from the CV1 perspective, you're probably a 4 or 5x factor of cost. Now less. I mean, you're a fraction. You're probably 20% of the outlay, and that means you can just host a pop-up tournament, grab a community center somewhere, grab a couple of laptops, and boom, you've got a pop-up setup, and you could stream it. You could have commentators there for a couple of grand, and you're good.
Not right now.
Well, right now, of course. Yeah. Go on, Roddy. What are the questions from the chat?
Yeah, we have a few more questions, actually. We had Fabster asking Alex, what are your thoughts on Solaris?
You know, so this kind of, I guess, feeds into a question that you asked me, Nathan. Are developers making their games to be played as an esport? And I don't know, you know, because I see games like Solaris, I see games like Pop 1 come out, and out the gate, we physically can't do esports. I without a spectate and without private lobbies, you can't run a competitive tournament. It's just not possible. And so without those two features, like, we can't do anything. You know, we can, but it's like I have to go back to the days of me cropping FPS views together and queuing at the same time on matchmaking, you know. And so I think, like, sometimes these key features are missed, but you do oftentimes see them get implemented later down the line, because at the same time, you don't want to split your player base. You don't want to have people get fractioned off into their own private lobbies. You want to encourage everyone to be in the same matchmaking queue. So I understand the logic behind it to some extent, but it does make it challenging for us at times to do esports scenes around it. Yeah. So I think Solaris has potential, but I think Solaris has potential, but I don't think there's private lobbies in there yet for us to organize.
I think what you're touching on here, in general, games need to be shown better on screen, even if it's not an esport. I mean, if a consumer wants to play this game, you want to get them excited for it. But if it's getting shown in this funny field of view or whatever, it doesn't work.
I mean,
you know?
Let's get into the weeds of it, Nathan. I love it, man. Yeah, there is so much that has to go on when you're thinking esports, and I think one of the things that you'll look at two contrasting opinions very clearly. ESL likes to do FPS views because they are used to 2D shooters. They're used to having a very stable first-person view, a very clean reticle in the center, and that's how you really capture the action. Yeah. It doesn't really work so well in VR, you know? And so with VR, with what we try and do is focus on spectating from the outside. You know, we don't do a lot of FPS view, and we focus on capturing the player more from a third-person perspective. That lends itself to also showing off the VR, you know, movement, everything about VR that you want to see in a 2D, in the real space. You at least get a feel for it when you can see it from a third-person perspective. You can see the person crouching or reloading or, you know, radioing onto their shoulder. You don't necessarily get that in an FPS view. And so, yeah, like we talk about framing, we talk about the rule of thirds and trying to get the camera to show the action appropriately, and there's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah, I think that you probably already answered the next question as well, because we had GamerChick13 asking, do people give Alex respect for how difficult his job is, or do people still see what he does as just a hobby?
A little bit of, I've been getting a lot of respect. I got called a procaster the other day for the stuff I've done in Pop 1, and it's the first time that I've been called a procaster.
That's awesome.
And it took me, I was like, yeah, I guess you could call me a pro. Sure. I think I've put in enough hours where I could say that. I could consider myself one. But I get it a lot from the OGs, from the guys that have been in Onward for 4 years, that have been around for a long time. They know who I am. They know I've used to play. I get the disrespect from the younger guys because they don't know that I can take them on 1v1 any moment. Okay, I'm still good at the game. Okay, I still got the fire. I still got the shots. Okay. Don't come and challenge me on my skill set. It's still there very much. All right. But it's hard. There's 15 things going on at once. If you're running an Onward, if you're running a VRML show, you're running the production, you're doing casting, you're running cams, you're talking to your co-caster, you're making sure you're on the right scene, you're checking chat, you're checking onto the Twitch chat. Mike, I mean, you're running a show right now. It's a lot to do,
Yeah.
So, who knows? I don't know who the producer is. It's very good. See, this is all part of the magic. You got to hide it. That's what we try. That's what we do. That's what we do. We hide it. We make it look easy.
That's exactly it.
It's challenging.
That's it. Yeah.
That's right. It's funny you mentioned about games that that come out the gates as like VR esports ready. And it's interesting because I didn't even consider the fact that without private lobbies or spectator modes that you wouldn't even consider Pop 1 or Solaris. And I wonder, like, do you have any open dialogue with these developers to say, look, we'd love to cast your game, but we need these fundamental features before we can do that?
That is one of the key things. Again, you go back to community that the VRML focuses on. We go to developers first before we try and stand up an esports scene. We want to go to them and say, hey, can we get your blessing on this? Do you have anything that you would want to, maybe provide us some in-game, branding, something like that? Is there anything you can do to help us that we can then go and grow your scene more around? And so, we're very much in direct contact with developers. I've talked to some of the developers at Big Box for Pop 1 about some of the stuff they could do for a spectate feature. They're very much aware of the need to have that in if they want to do tournaments, and they very much do. Pop 1 has the vibe of, obviously the Battle Royale style. Let's do tournaments around it. And so, you need spectate, and you need it 2D. It's challenging to do. You can watch I don't know if you showed it, Zim, but the clip of me spectating Pop 1, it's janky a little bit. My headset is moving around. It's tough to capture first-person views in a headset cleanly unless it's done externally, unless you have that additional little bit of tweaking in the capture that's making it smooth. It just looks rough, and so 2D spectate definitely makes that easier.
So I've got a couple questions just quickly. So what happened? What in your opinion, what happened to Space Junkies? Because that was a game that came out the gates that was kind of like very much VR esports like in mind.
Wow.
And we kind of touched on our thoughts on it. Was it the high price because it was like $40? I think it's straight out the gates, but it was a game that was almost perfect for VR esports, right? So what happened with that game? Why did it die?
It is very much, in my mind, been branded as a thing. This is, your game can get Space Junkied. Space Junkies came out and had everything. It had a great UI, had a great menu, great tutorial, all of the functionality you'd need. The gameplay was good, but there wasn't a lot at the core of it. When you think of a esport, there has to be more than just one or two mechanics. And I think that games like Space Junkies really excelled in those one or two mechanics, but they didn't have much more depth than that. Ultimately, when it came down to it, you're shooting your opponent in 0G, which is good, but if you really want to get down to something that's more competitive, there has to be a bit more there. Like when I think of Onward as a perfect example, I hate going back to it. I'm sure the Echo fans are mad at me for talking about Onward so much. But it's just a good example in my mind right now is that smoke grenades are in a pretty bad spot logistically wise. They don't act how they're supposed to, essentially. The devs have addressed this, and it's hopefully going to be fixed down the line. But we have, and the VRML have had to ban smoke grenades. That has completely changed how all of these teams are playing the game now. So we have taken one utility item away, and it has affected how all of these teams play. And so Onward has 10 of those. You know, you have flashbangs, you have different guns, you have silencers, you have smokes. There's all kinds of different utility that gets factored in that can end up changing how you play. And so if you don't have all those different tools and different sort of, you know, just more than a base mechanic, it doesn't necessarily, it's going to be tough to succeed, you know. And again, yeah, the high price probably something that's deterred away.
I do wonder if they would come out now on the Quest 2, how different it would be.
Oh, they would sell a lot
for $20.
Yeah.
For 20 or 25 bucks.
A fairly cheap price now.
Well, I think you'd have what Solaris is, essentially. Solaris, in my eyes, is a space junkies. If they can get private lobbies and they can maybe start an esports scene around it, you can really start to grow the community around that. But yeah, I mean, it looks great, it runs great, it has everything you need, but there's just I just feel like maybe there's one or two things missing. Maybe another mode needs to be in there, you know, maybe like one or two more guns, you know. It's just like I don't know what it needs, but I don't know, there's just a feeling I get sometimes with some of these games where they could have used more.
Sure.
So something I'm wondering too, like if you're if you compare like the mainstream, like esports mainstream is huge, you know. In VR it's still a niche, like almost everything in VR. No offense, but the thing is, like, usually with esports, what you see when people sit in these arenas or you have small tournaments, there are a lot of sponsors. You know, sponsors are a big part of the whole like esports industry. So how do you reach out to brands that are used to working with, you know, people who play, let's say, pancake games, but then it's like, listen, VR is quite relevant, or look at the potential it has, and trying to kind of sell that idea to those companies and trying to get them on board, because there are some big ones, I'm sure, like Corsair and others. Like, you want PC brands, you want maybe Monster Energy or whatever. There's so many, but I don't think they know that much about VR yet. So how do you, you know?
It's a twofold really thing that needs to happen. Obviously, we need to keep having the growth that's happening right now. You know, I personally, I mean, hey, you're transitioning great into a bunch of stuff that I want to talk about. We have an arena charity cup going on in Echo Arena in a couple hours from now, over on VRMasterLeague.com, twitch.tv/VRMasterLeague. One of our sponsors for that tournament is HyperX. They came in and said, look, we want to start to get into the VR space. We want to be a sponsor for some VR games. We want to start to be involved in here. And so, you know, I think, obviously I'm optimistic. I'm hoping that we can really lock them in as a full VRML sponsor down the line. You know, that would be the dream. Yeah. But I mean, it's starting now, you know. I think now, I mean, geez, we have over 300 registered teams for Echo Arena.
Wow.
We have gone from 300 players to 900 and onward. You know, we are rapidly growing our user base, and I think that draws the attention. That draws the eyes of some of these companies, and they go, "Oh wow, okay, this is starting to finally take off. It's starting to finally garner numbers that are reasonable." You know, we at some of our top events, we're pushing 200, 300 viewers live. You know, we're now in Oculus venues where we're doing Sunday and Saturday shows of Echo Arena and onward, and you can go and watch the thing on the Quest. You know, we're appealing to a whole different user base in that venue space, and it piles on to our already, you know, the Twitch viewers, the YouTube viewers, the Facebook viewers, and you know, it's starting, I guess is what I'm saying. You know, we're starting to have those people come to us and go, hey, look, this is something that we want to attach ourselves to. We want to sponsor. Outside of that, we've acquired already a significant amount of sponsors. You know, we've gone to ProTube and said, hey, we like your stuff. Can you give us prizes? We've gone to VR Cover. We've gone to Rebuff Reality. Some of these companies have come to us and said, we want to sponsor tournaments like Cyber Shoes did, or we did the VIP tournament, you know? And so we get asked a little bit, and, you know, admittedly, I don't do a lot of the reaching out. We have a good structure from top down in the VRML. I am the casting coordinator. My expertise is casting and being involved in standing up the casting teams around our leagues. But we have guys that are good at marketing, dudes that, you know, focusing on social media, all that stuff. And I think they're the ones that are trying to reach out on the side through email saying, hey, look, we got this, we got that.
Yeah. Trying to sell the future of esports.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, the dream really is if we find an angel investor, you know, someone that really believes in our vision and the future of the VR, and, you know, from there we'd actually have some real true power funding to go and pay our volunteers and pay out bigger prize pools with bigger. I mean, you talked about it, right? With bigger prize pools, that's when you garner more eyes. That's when you garner eyes outside of the space,
Because right now there is no one doing something full time in the VR esports scene. It's not like players are, paying their rent of playing Onward or someone casting, and we're not there yet.
No, and we're starting to see organizations sprout up, though. We are starting to see these groups that have managers and have coaches and are taking it very seriously because they recognize that this is the future. They know that we're growing and that we want to go down. We want to eventually get to that space where we're in an arena and we're hosting a VRML event that's in a full, fully packed crowd. That's the future that we're trying to move to. But it takes time, and again, I go back to the key element of just it being adoption. We're seeing it now. It is finally starting, in my opinion. We have been positioning ourselves for 4 years as an esports company to be ready for growth, to be ready for a boom. And I think it's starting.
Actually, does that growth also bring with it, Alex, an element of risk then? Because if it grows too fast, don't you find yourselves in a position where you're understaffed? I mean, how do you end up growing the VRML kind of group as it stands today? Because you need those years, you need the experience, you need people you can trust, you can rely on, not only to run these events, but I feel like with such a bottom heavy pyramid coming in now, especially with Quest 2. I mean, the next 3 months are going to be killer for you guys, I imagine.
Yep.
But that actually brings with it also a requirement to scale up and fast. Yep. So you must be on the prowl for, where does somebody show their interest if they want to be a caster, if they want to get involved in this?
Yeah, so we do. It varies between org and onward. You typically recruit casting during the off season because we like to train up our casters. We give, we teach them how to run all of the assets. We teach them what good camera tactics are. We teach them, stuff that you want to say in cast, what a co-caster does versus a caster, that sort of stuff. But we have a website. You can go to vrml.com. Usually there we have posted applications that you can register if you want to be a moderator, if you want to be a caster. And again, usually those only open up during off season. So I think again, mod apps for Echo Arena are going to be opening up soon. I could be wrong on that, but I think they are, since we're looking to start back up with season 3. So to your point though, we've been lucky. It's luck, and it's just good VR people, I don't know what it is, but the VR community seems to just be so on board. They recognize our passion right away. Most of the time when we have sit-down meetings with the communities, they say, oh, look, these guys have no malicious intent. They just want to grow the VR esports scene. And that really is all we want to do. We just want to give a platform to people to grow it. And when you offer that kind of generosity, you're typically going to find at least 2 or 3 people that'll give you a really good effort and really help you sort of build a foundation around a community to sort of build that esports scene. And so, with growth, we've been doing good. I mean, we've been tested already in that sense. We've gone from 30 Echo teams to 200 over the course of season 1 to 2. With that, we are now taking a longer break between 2 and 3. We're taking community feedback. We're processing that all through moderation. We're going to try and adjust the format accordingly for season 3. And it's a lot of work. I admit, but it's also passion. We love esports. The players love the game they play in. And so it's, you give them something to grow from, and oftentimes the community really runs with it, and that's what makes us so unique.
I think there's a big chance VR esports, when it takes off, is going to take over the regular esports stuff, because it's more exciting to watch. I'm not saying that I do not enjoy people playing CS:GO next to each other, but with VR, it's as Rowdy also said, we have mixed reality, we have all these tools. But if you throw that in there, it's like you're really watching the future.
Also with the physicality of it all. Absolutely,
true.
100%.
But there's so much that is just next level that you can't get when you're playing a pancake title. Well,
and I mean, to expand on that too, for the players, it's good. You don't get this level of camaraderie in a 2D game. You don't get that level of, hey, I'm going to give you a hand motion to move left, or I'm going to give you a high five after a good round in the game. You just don't get that when you're playing the 2D game. And then when you end up meeting these people in real life, it's like you've already met them. It's like you've already been their friend in real life because you've physically been interacting with them for years already, and so it's just, it's without a doubt where the future is. And I think that I know I've talked a lot. I said VRML probably too much already, but I truly believe in what we're doing on the VRML. And I think that will be the one that does bring VR into that mainstream. I think the model that we have is ripe for growth. If we can find people that believe in our vision and investors that want to help us grow it, I only see us going up. And I think the model we have scales. I really do. I think that we can scale to the growth that is going to come in from Quest 2. And, to that point, hey, if you want to be involved in the VRML, we'll have sign-ups open. Come join us. We want all the help we can get.
Well, I think that kind of leads me on to my final two questions. Really, is what VR games are hosted by the VRML at the moment, and how can people that are maybe really into VR, traditional gaming esports that maybe just bought a Quest 2, how can they get into the VRML and start playing competitively online with others?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are 5 active games right now. We have three actually, active, but we've done more than 3. But we have currently Echo Arena, Pavlov VR, and obviously Onward going as our 3 main titles for the VRML. Right. And so if you want to get in any of those, it's real easy. You just go to vrml.com. You'll see there that there's big pictures of the game that you want to play. You select that game, and then you register an account, and you can register for a team. We have all sorts of different ways you can play. If you want to get in initially, I recommend you join the Discord first, and then you join as a reservist. And what this does is it puts you into a reservist pool. And so you can be, if a team is in need of a player, they can ping the reservist and say, hey, we need a substitute for our match. Can anyone join? If you're available and you have the right rank, you can join that team and play for them and sort of get your feet wet in playing in the VRML. That's the initial step, really, is be a reservist. Then maybe you find a team you like playing for. Maybe that team likes you and they recruit you. Maybe you want to create your own team with a couple of guys that you've played with in the past. It's real easy to just register on the site for a team, make your team active, and when the season's live, you'll get scheduled with a weekly match that's based off of the MMR rating. It's like
ESL, but the VR version of it. That's basically what you're saying, with letters and everything in there.
I suppose, but the model's different. ESL structured their tournament format differently, and I think the way that we've structured it really caters to everybody as a player. Anybody can play in our league. You don't have to be a top 10 team to get involved. You can be at any skill level and play. Yep.
I think it's fascinating, someone that doesn't really understand it very much. I think it's really insightful to have you on the show and talk about it, because I do think it's really interesting, and it's a niche within VR that I've been aware of for a long time, but I don't really understand the minutiae of it and how it all works. So I think it's been really interesting to have you talk about it. So thank you again for joining us, Alex. I'd love to talk to you about it more again in the future. So maybe we'll get you back on the show in a future episode.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on. And just as a last bit of esports plug, again, head on over to the twitch.tv/VR Master League for the Charity Cup tournament that's going to be going on shortly.
And when does that start? In the next couple of hours?
1 p.m. Pacific Standard.
Awesome. Thank you very much again. Yeah. So now I think it's time to hand over to Zim to see what releases we've got to look forward to this week, because we had loads last week. So I'm intrigued about this week.
Yeah, the Rowdy drained us dry.
He did.
There was loads. I was going through it. It was like 6 or 7 titles or something. So it was mad. We got a couple of things, but I've kept it to 3. And the first one you'll all hate me for, which is good, because that's the point. So we're gonna start off on a Rift S title to show you the quality of what's coming out on Rift S. Is a game called Descending, which is dropping by Dungeon Games. Now, this is the winner, because we're talking about champions here, right? We've been talking about competition. The true champion of October is whoever can release a VR horror game to cash in first, right? And we see this every single year. We see 2 weeks of just barrage of VR horror titles. This is the first one. So Descending for Oculus Rift is $7.99 in pounds, about $10, released on the 15th of October, right there mid-month. This is the premise of this game. I'll give it to you. So you just bought a house, but guess what? It came, like most eBay purchases, with a freebie. That's right. You bought a haunted house. Haunted house. So you bought a haunted house, and you get to discover the secrets of the past of this house. You get to wander around. There's some puzzle elements to it. And you have to face the terror that lurks in the rooms. You can die in this. You can not succeed and die in the game. And I would just recommend...
Is it eBay or is it Wish? I mean...
I would just say don't watch the movie Hereditary before playing this one, or you might not sleep that well at night.
Such a boring movie. Jesus.
So I was going to say, before we go on to the next release, a short little point about steamy horror games that you might want to find yourself playing. Twitch has been blowing up. Given I got my Twitch buddy from years ago, Nightfire. I'm going to say his name because your name was getting shouted in chat earlier, and it warmed my heart to see that. I know you've matured off into something else now, completely different from that original monster. Speaking of monsters, Phasmophobia, which is a multiplayer experience, has been doing very well. I've seen so many people jump into it who are not horror people, who are complete wimps, and absolutely shitting themselves, which is great fun. I haven't looked at it very much. I haven't seen streams per se, but I've seen all the reactions to it.
It's insane. And you like when you introduced it to us, I was like, what is this for crappy ass title? Yep. And now it's like a super big hype.
I was the same. It was like when Zim mentioned it, I was like, this does look really fun. And we did actually plan to play it. Yeah. Then it didn't work out. And then I saw PewDiePie play it. And I was like, what the heck is going on? PewDiePie's playing this game?
I do tend to know what works on a stream after all my 6 years. But horror stuff like this looked so good. And it's really killed on Twitch. It's crazy. Like 250,000 people playing it or things like that concurrently. So... Phasmophobia is one that I would just recommend. That's definitely one that if you want to go and do. Although we played one which I think has now ducked under the radar again as a team, which was The Devouring, which is a VR chat experience. But there's two parts about this. It's a horror experience that you can play in VR chat on PC, not on Quest. We found that out, unfortunately, and Rowdy wasn't able to join us as a result because he was on Quest only at the time. But if you've got 3 or 4 people, you can play The Devouring, and it is about a 6-hour end-to-end experience. And it's not just a horror game; it's also you have to play it in one sitting, which is like a totally different thing
game as well.
It's like a desert bus horror
about
experience.
Esports, man. This one.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. I would totally be up for horror esports, man. We should start something.
Esports. Yeah.
Oh hell yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, it would have to be like speedrunning. We could do speedrunning horror games and have people racing against each other.
That's less scary. It's less scarier that way.
I do not want to speedrun The Devouring. No way. I don't want to play that game again.
When you beat it, you'll be glad, as glad as we were. And then the third one that I was going to mention, because like PlayStation people don't get enough love. There's a lot of good VR games that are horror based. Of course, Resident Evil 7. You got Rush of Blood. Right? They've got their smattering. But the one I wanted to highlight, which I think is really undersold, is the Persistence. And I say this because a lot of people are stuck at home right now in the current settings. But it has a companion app that is better developed than I've seen in any horror game across my 7 years touching VR. So what the companion app does is you're like encouraged as the mobile player to both positively and negatively influence the primary player. It's really great. Unfortunately, it's LAN only, so it's only people who are on your network. So this would have blown up on Twitch ages ago, and I've talked to them about it. But
they should have mentioned this more when it came out, because you were the first one to mention here on the show that it had some kind of like app thing going on. Yeah. Like the ultimate horror game is still Alien Isolation in VR.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
If you're looking for one that you're just gonna shit your pants.
that one's absolutely terrible.
Although isn't like Amnesia also coming to VR?
No, but there's a new Amnesia coming this month, I think, but it's not having VR support. But hey, PD always says Farpax is your medicine.
Yeah, there's that Blair Witch one that's coming soon as well. But there's
maybe
Blair Witch,
end of the month.
Yeah. So look, the thing is, this is, as I said, Descending is the first. Like I just laughed because I saw it looking across. Like PlayStation didn't have anything. Quest didn't have anything. I mean, you've got Five Nights at Freddy's, but I'm talking about stuff that lands in October, trying to cash in on the October end.
Quality stuff, man. Like, I remember the days where every time Halloween came around, you had like some shovelware that no one wanted to play.
Nathan, it's coming. It's coming. Just watch Steam.
Man.
It's coming. Trust me. Every developer out there wants to make a quick buck. So
Yeah, true.
the next one I'm going to show you is an interesting one. I don't know if you guys know this, but the developers behind Stride have been working, I guess in secret, on another title. Right? Of course. Joyway. So this next game is called Time Hacker, and in essence, before we get too excited, I'm going to say, if you wanted more super hot, well, here it is. It's similar mechanics. So, what is Time Hacker? First off, it'll cost you $15 or £12. Landed on the 16th of October, so it's only just out. And as I said, it's the second early access title from the devs who haven't yet completed Stride. So that already sends me a little bit of warning signals. Like Marvel's Quicksilver, you have a mechanic here, and you can play with time while your enemies are effectively frozen in place. Use your precious seconds to make small but critical changes, and then watch the chaos unfold. 3 important words here. Chain of destruction. So some of the mechanics, the game mechanics that you have in this game include, for example, flammable barrels, being able to control various vehicles, so like steering a car in a different direction and then letting it unleash its wrath. Shockers, dynamite, dodging bullets as they're coming at you. As I said, feels very super hot to me in terms of its aesthetic. But yeah, there you go. If you wanted to,
I've played something very similar.
Yeah,
to this.
very similar to this.
But I lost the name. Was it Time Brigade or something like that?
Time Storm?
Something about traffic.
Let me check it out.
But also,
Like a secret agents. And you had to
just in time.
Just in time.
Just in time.
But I saw this game is releasing in early access, and it's just like, stick with one game and just release that game.
This is what
you
I
said
said
it before, Nathan. Yeah,
They're making like they made a lot of games. If you go to their Steam, for example, their Steam page, they have a lot of other games that they once made that they never finished either, that are also in early access. So again, beware. This is a developer that makes loads of games but never really finishes any. So
yeah, we actually saw this back with Ark. Remember Ark, when Ark kept spinning off its various versions and they never finalized anything. I see it as a lack of confidence from the developer, and I always get nervous at that. If you're back in 3 or 4 different trains and you're like, I'm not going to focus on any one, then
this is their business model. But that's the problem.
I know, and I see it out of a lot of like VR, like Asian studios and stuff, where they're churning out titles. It's like, I'll do a horror title, I'll do a sport title, I'll do an art title, and it's like I'll just wait for one of them to catch on. But the point is, it's like a survivalist thing. If you don't have to struggle to get your app to like be the app it should be, and you're just putting kind of lightweight effort into it, I don't think that's the right path.
It's quick money, but in the long run, people remember the name of the dev studio and are not going to buy the next title. It's a bit like Mike once said with what is it, like 12 floors?
Oh yeah,
12 floors game with only like 2 floors.
How many did you have by now? You should check on that.
We should.
That's what I'm
only
talking
has
about.
3 floors. Yeah. It's called 13 floors or something. Yeah. It's funny, like, I just don't like the art style of this game either. It just looks like you're fighting these like Colossus type characters over and over again. It looks really weird.
Gold.
Like, what's with the metal look? I don't like it.
Yeah. Again, and as someone who is such a devout fan of Super Hot, I suppose you'd rather just have a bit more Super Hot in your sandwich than jamming in some Time Hacker.
I love Super Hot.
I think we're gonna see more Super Hot on Quest soon, because I mean, didn't we see the Super Hot devs sharing also that they were selling loads of copies? So I think they're like, oh, maybe we should bring the new DLC to VR as well.
Yeah. They've optimized it for Quest 2 as well. So it's 90 hertz.
I think we're gonna see that.
It's been the fad this week for developers to share, of course, with no numbers, their little graphs. I'm just so tempted to just put a graph up that just like shows a spike and just release it on Twitter. The most impressive that I saw, I think, was from Denny for Pistol Whip, showing a 10x growth since the launch of Quest 2.
That's insane.
As for us, it's also insane. I don't know. Like, I've never seen so many people subscribe to my channel in like the last month. So.
Yeah, it's the same for me. Yeah, I hit all-time concurrent viewer on YouTube since migrating last year.
And the podcast as well.
And the podcast too. Yeah. We had, I think we had around 500 new people join us in the last 30 days.
Yeah, which is fantastic.
Add a processor.
Yeah.
Stop begging for money, Rowdy. Come on. All right, on to the last one here. This one comes with no surprise. It is, of course, Big Box's Population 1. 22nd of October, this thing lands for those of you who've been chomping at the bit for it. And trust me, everyone who I've been playing with in games like Onward and Solaris, there's a lot of hype for this game, I can tell. So this one's going to land you for $30, £25, coming to PC, VR, and Quest. This is a Battle Royale game. If you don't know what that's about, it's basically last person standing. But oddly enough, I do wonder if their title somehow predates their actual game concept, because you do fight in teams of 3. So generally speaking, at the end of the game, you have 3 people left standing.
Population 3.
Population 3 is probably what they should have called this one. Population 1 does sound way more sexy anyway. So what I was going to say is, like, this game to me, my impressions of it are very much that it's a $30, not free, Fortnite for VR. With the microtransactions in there that some people, for the last week or whatever, got a bit kind of upset about.
Still
Rowdy, I know.
I'm going to back down on that one.
The only man that hasn't played the game as well.
Root of all evil. You know what? I'll once do a science episode and explain you guys all
Population 1?
Why it is.
Well, I know why it is. It's the old pellet thing. But what I will say is, so they've mentioned that for Population 1, right, there are microtransactions in this $30 game for character skins and guns. One of the things is, like a lot of the games that have been launching recently, you've actually got like a progression system where you can unlock certain stuff, and then if you want to pay for flashier gear, you can, right? But you fight over this cityscape. I think one of the cool things about the game, every Battle Royale game, either it spawns you in a location or you get dropped in. And this is one of those drop-in games, although you can choose not to drop in. So when you start off, you run to one of these little science pods that looks like something out of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and you press the launch button, and then you jump off into the sky, and you pull the ripcord like a trucker, and you drop down with your team. The VoIP and stuff works quite well. The flying mechanic, you can fly like Flappy Bird if that was always your interest, because let me tell you, VR Flappy Bird, not a good game. Don't do that. But I think Population 1 is one of those games that Battle Royale is a spectator sport to some extent. Like, you can play it. It does have a nice in-game kind of, I'll call it dead cam. So after you die, you can spectate and watch the other teams. And this brings me back to what Alex was mentioning earlier, where, oh, hey, maybe it doesn't have a discrete spectator mode. It's in there for the player. And if you want, you can just blam, blam, shoot your 2 teammates, jump to a pod, and boom, now I'm spectating. And I can commentate all I like, which I'm sure they were already forming plans to do in this one. But Population 1, you boys have had a chance to play it. I'm curious to hear, let's whip around quickly, just let people know, should they be putting their money into this game? What do you think of it?
Yeah, very simple, easy to learn, and also quick matches. So if you don't have that much time and you need to also babysit, work, whatever, then this is quick. This is not Battle Royale where you're spending 40 minutes of your life trying to win. This is like just short and easy, and it has bananas too. So yeah, there you go.
The bananas.
It is not your hardcore Battle Royale shooter. It's definitely a arcade focused, more easy to enter, easy to get a hang of. They don't want a huge, skill gap, albeit it's very much possible to be there in terms of how well you can build and how you interact with people and how you use the movement. And so I see potential for it as an esport. But yeah, it's a solid game. It's fun, but it's not, again, it's not your an Onward-esque sort of thing where you're pulling mags off of your hip and putting them into reload and cocking the chamber, and aiming with 2 hands. You're mostly one-handing guns and just kind of trying to fly around, drop down in on top of them, get the kills. It's a different experience, but it's fun. It's a good time.
It's for the new VR consumer. Basically.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those games that's just got a lot of potential. I think it could go on to do really great things. I think right now it's pretty solid, but it's very casual. And I think if they can ramp up the mechanics, like Alex said earlier with like Space Junkies, it lacked that kind of thing that kept you coming back for more, that was a little bit more interesting. I think if they can nail that, then I think they've got something really exciting.
Well, if they don't make too much money off the microtransactions, then they might also make some content.
Yeah.
That's the question.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, it's like it's an interesting balance. I'll be interested to see where it goes. I'm currently wondering if they're ready for launch in its current status. It feels a little bit early access in terms of the current build, But I do think that in terms of timing, if they wait too long into the holiday season, they might miss, some of that parachute. So
that might be the reason why they're launching so quickly.
And again, like we see it with Solaris as well. They're in their preseason launch, and I'm having loads of fun with that. But like what Alex said, it's a little bit limited, right? If you've only got 6 maps, if you're, it depends. So if you like the loop, if you like the game loop, and you end up enjoying it, you're basically paying 30 quid. The one thing I got a question for you guys, because I still haven't figured it out. Having gone through like the single player with some bots and then gone to the standard matches, I didn't see any of the base building aspects that they were showing that were very Fortnite-esque. Are those available in current matchmaking? Because I couldn't see them.
Yeah. Just very few people are using it right now.
Yeah. You know what it is? Yeah, it's all us old fogies who are in there, playing this, who aren't accustomed to Fortnite. But when the Fortnite pros come in, that's going to wreck some people's heads.
I think the reason why people are not using it that much is because the mechanics are still kind of awkward to use that. And I think if they perfect that more, then, and also the fact that right now you can build infinitely, as far as I know. Well, in Fortnite, for example, you have to collect resources.
Oh, no, you do spend resources.
Once you're in the game, you do.
Oh, sorry. That already says enough about me not even knowing how to collect my stuff. But it should be more, they need to make it more in your face. I don't know.
There you go. So that's Population 1, Time Hacker, and Descending. The start of our downward spiral into a pit of hell, which is October's Steam Halloween targeted releases. So hope you all look forward to that. Keep watching the Steam page, and please, read the fine text before you buy any of this stuff. There are some very good horror titles out for VR now. Look at some of the old stuff before you maybe grab something that's just popped up on the radar.
And I think we're planning to do a stream, right, of Phasmophobia at some point. We've been trying to organize it for a little while. Have we got it narrowed down for next weekend?
We'll mention a date. I think we're still working on seeing if we can get a stable rowdy guy in with us. And
I am positive. I am very positive. I can at least get in there. I might just sometimes crash.
Yeah. Okay. Well, in that case, we've got a date for all of you, which is after the next podcast, the day after, so 25th. Should be around about 7 p.m. UK time, so about an hour later than the show normally starts. We'll be streaming that live, and you guys can watch us play Phasmophobia.
Wow. It's always better than, like, Rowdy crashing is better than Rowdy playing creepy sounds on Discord trying to scare us.
So,
I don't know. I kind of enjoyed that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So that's our...
There you go.
That's our releases for the week, and hope you buy something. Support the VR market. There you go.
Buy something. Go buy something. So yeah, thanks for joining us live. Thank you, Alex, for joining us. Really appreciate it. I think you've been an awesome guest, and it's been really insightful to learn more about VR esports. Thank you to all our audio listeners as well. I know we don't shout you out enough. We do appreciate you all. Just a reminder, this is a weekly VR, AR, and MR talk show, live streamed every Saturday on YouTube and Twitch. The show goes live at 7 p.m. in Europe, 6 p.m. in the UK, 12 midday in Central US. Also go and check out the audio version, which is available on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Spotify. Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for all our future awesome podcasts. And have a great week in VR. Hopefully we'll come back next week. And like you say, Zim will be streaming Phasmophobia on Sunday. So go and check out Zim's YouTube channel. I think we've got all our channels linked in the description. So go and check those out. But have a great week in VR. Hope you're all enjoying your Quest 2s. We'll be back on the show next week with more VR news. So until then, take care and bye-bye for now. See you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.